Good morning. Welcome. This is Key Point. We're live here on TV3 and on also TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. I am Alfred Okansi. This morning, the beginning of the week was dated with that announcement of Alan Kojo Kyerematen resigning from the New Patriotic Party, outlining the reasons why. A number of them, including the fact that he says some apparatchiks of the party, the NPP, have hijacked the affairs of the New Patriotic Party, among other reasons why he said it's time for him to say a goodbye to the New Patriotic Party and form a movement of change on which he will contest as an independent candidate in the 2024 general elections. This is Alan Kyerematen earlier in the week announcing his decision. Take a look.
Fellow countrymen and women, under the circumstances and given the context provided, I wish to use this platform to announce that I'm honorably resigning with immediate effect to contest for the high office of the President of the Republic of Ghana in the 2024 general elections as an independent presidential candidate. I joined the New Patriotic Party at the very beginning of its establishment as a founding member, believing in its core values and the long-standing traditions of its antecedents. However, the NPP, as it exists now, has very little resemblance to the party that I joined in 1992 and helped to launch. The party has been hijacked by a selected group of party leaders and elders, government appointees, behind the curtain power brokers, and some unscrupulous party.
That's Alan Kojo Kyerematen there. Eventually, the NPP also came in to respond to the issues he had raised, the reason why he says he cannot be a part of the party that he founded. This is the General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodia Frimpong, addressing the press subsequently.
It's the mode in which he decided to resign from the party, which was through a press conference without prior notice to the party. The party wants to believe that by his decision to hold a press conference to resign without first informing the leadership of the party suggests that he made a premeditated and irrevocable decision to resign from the party. It needs emphasizing that when the national chairman visited him on behalf of the party after the August 26th Special Electoral College in an attempt to bring all the 10 aspirants together, he did not portray any sign of resigning from the party, let alone going independent. The leadership of the party equally disagrees with the assertion made by Mr. Kyerematen in page 8 of his resignation address that the party has been hijacked by a selected group of party leaders and elders and government appointees behind the curtain power brokers.
Well, these issues, to some, Alan Kyerematen's decision was just a matter of time, especially because of the issues he had raised after the Superdelegates Congress. When I sat with the former president, John Agyekum Kufuor, months ago, he raised concern about the deepening factions within the NPP, which some say has resulted in these developments we are seeing within the party. This is what he said.
Commitment to the basic liberal democratic principles perhaps might not be as pure and the same as used to be, say, even around 92. Now, I don't think that commitment is the same.
The level of commitment to the party?
Not to the party.
To the
party,
ideals,
ideals.
The principles that you upheld then.
I may not say that the way I feel it. I don't sense the same strong commitment. I've likened commitment earlier times to almost a religion. I don't sense that now.
What in your view could have contributed to this? There's less commitment that you see to the ideals and principles of the party now as against what was the case in 1992?
Well, I sense there's too much talk about factionalism.
Well, it says there's too much talk about factionalism. That was months ago. Now, the evidence of it is what many believe is playing out in the New Patriotic Party. This is a conversation that we'll have this morning here on Key Point. Also, this week, there was public uproar when a notice of an over 100% increase in the cost of dialysis was put out on social media at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. After the public backlash, the CEO of the hospital, Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, came out and in fact spoke to us here on TV3 and also on 3FM 92.7 of the decision, which according to them was just a proposal. But then some people had already paid the 765 cedis, which was just a proposal. Now this development got a number of persons living with kidney diseases worried. This is one of them, a 17-year-old girl.
Yes, at times I feel like I want to die. If I were having a parent, maybe my parents will try their best, but because of I don't, like I feel sad. I want to do my transplant because they say I should do the transplant. And dialysis, I don't get the money for dialysis. What about the transplant? When I get money, I go. When I don't get, I...
So think about they going on these dialysis sessions 3 times, at least 3 times a week, and how much it costs them. So we put these questions and concerns to the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital as to what led to this proposal of 765 cedis up from just about 360 Ghana cedis. Over 100% increase. And this is what the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital CEO said, that it was a proposal that found its way into the public domain, but some 5 to 6 people had already paid for these illegal fees. So we sought to find out what the hospital is going to do about this. This is what he said.
Taking any price increases.
Okay.
And so at the institution level, the unit that is providing the service would come up with a proposal for a price adjustment based on their input costs, the cost of providing the service. And then this will then go to the head of that department, who will then pass it on to the Director of Medical Affairs, who will also scrutinize this further, make sure that it is reasonable, and then it comes to the Chief Executive, who will discuss with the finance central management. And then once that is done, then the proposal was then forwarded to Parliament through the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance for approval. And
essentially, the people who paid for these fees have been dealt an illegal blow because this 765 cedis wasn't approved by Parliament, or to talk about even getting the Health Ministry's approval. That is what we're going to be talking about. The bigger conversation is some regions don't even have these dialysis machines. And so what has to be done to ensure that these persons are also addressed? Our third matter on Key Point this morning, the Electoral Commission this week gave an update on the ongoing limited voter registration exercise, which comes to an end in a couple of days. They say that the guarantor system is faulty and that the only way to guarantee the integrity of the electoral roll is to use the Ghana card as their sole document for identification. They accused the political parties of pushing, strategizing to register minors and foreigners to their advantage. Dr. Bosman Asare spoke to the media.
To strengthen our processes to ensure that ineligible persons, including minors and foreigners, do not register. As a commission, we are focused on ensuring and maintaining the credibility of the voters' register. This is the reason behind the proposed new CI, or constitutional instrument, which will require the use of the Ghana card as the sole means of identification for new applicants to register as voters. Indeed, the Ghana card shows the age and citizenship of the bearer of the card, making it easier to identify those who are minors and those who are foreigners. The Electoral Commission believes that the guarantor system has outlived its usefulness, and we are convinced that the time is right for a system that every registrant is identified on his or her own merit, rather than another person vouching for the age and nationality of that person.
Well, we will be talking whether these concerns by the Electoral Commission is justified in law, and their reason for also reducing the target of the over 1.35 million eligible voters who are supposed to get registered within this period. Let's say they had a target of 52% of that figure. So what happens to the 48% of the persons and their registration as this limited voter registration exercise comes to an end in a couple of days? Will there be an extension? We would have a conversation this morning. My guest will be joining me right after this quick break here on Key Point on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7. I am Alfredo Kanse. Welcome. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
I just took a shower above the clouds. You know why? Because this is the Emirates A380.
Get ready and save big with the Melcom Payday promo happening this weekend. Enjoy a whopping 20% discount in any Melcom store nationwide. This promo is valid from Friday 29th September to Sunday 1st October 2023. It's the Melcom Payday promo. Terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
Jackpot of the week. Place bets and hit the jackpot. Log into the 1xBet account. Click on the Take Part button. Place bet and take part in the jackpot draw. Give your luck a chance. Use promo code to get a bonus on your first deposit.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Ready for something refreshing and great tasting? For your kids' enjoyment?
Angel Cola.
For your graduation enjoyment?
Angel Cola.
Beach hangout?
Angel Cola.
For all your refreshing moments?
Angel Cola.
For your parties, get-togethers, events, and celebrations, enjoy a chilled bottle of Angel Cola.
Radio Grandma, today is your day. Over to you.
Thank you. Enjoyment Cola.
Angel Cola.
The Enjoyment Cola. Enjoy all your moments and fun time with Angel Cola. This advert is FDA approved.
The 2023 district level elections will be held on the 19th of December 2023 from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. When you vote assembly and unit committee members into office, you give them the authority to plan, budget, and implement decisions on your behalf, because district assemblies and unit committees are responsible for the development of the areas within their jurisdiction. Their Assembly determines how much to spend on essential services and infrastructure. For example, healthcare facilities, schools, sanitation services, public transportation, the supply of clean water, local economic development, and security measures within the locality. There is no discrimination against eligible candidates and voters. We must endeavor to vote for the right candidate, irrespective of gender, ethnicity, or disability. A vote for the right candidate is a vote for development. All Ghanaian citizens of 18 years and above with valid voter ID cards should turn out in their numbers to vote for their preferred candidate. Political parties are not allowed in district level elections. Do not sell your vote to any political party undercover. Remember, district level elections happens once every 4 years. The time is now. Your vote is your power. Get involved. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Information with support from the Governance for Inclusive Development Program implemented by GIZ and commissioned by the German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development.
Emirates Premium Economy. One day, all airlines will have seats like this. Fly Emirates, fly better.
Yeah, first of all, rap me here with some Lydia. Every woman is all in me. Anything, all I know is.
Some of us stood out with our showmanship and outstanding performances.
Most of us with great voices took our chances on the biggest music reality show. Don't forget lyrical abilities and style.
Mentor is back, and the moment to shine is now.
The Mentor audition train stops in Tamale on the 24th of September at the Gariba Lodge. Kumasi on the 26th of September at the Akuma FM premises. In Takoradi on the 29th of September at Connect FM. And finally in Accra on the 1st of October 2023 at the TV3 premises. Time is 8 a.m. each day.
You can become the next winner. Don't miss out.
Mentor 12. The world awaits you.
Mentor is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and Napa Foods Sense Body Spray.
Bell Ice.
Losing a loved one can be very heartbreaking, but losing a child at 5 is just something unbearable.
He had a problem with his heart, and that's how the journey began. He had cried from Sunday afternoon to Monday morning.
Akila was the name of the son that you lost.
Yes.
The reason you wrote this book.
The reason I wrote the book. Somebody who is a very firm believer in God and I'm a woman of faith, I had questions. Even if it's something I did, can't God forgive me?
This week on Today's Woman, she's here to share her story that would encourage and uplift all grieving parents out there. Edem Ajo Jebu is here to tell her story on Today's Woman this Saturday, 3 p.m. right here on TV3 with me, Cookie T.
Today's Woman with Cookie T shows Saturdays at 3 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Latex Foam. Vlisco.
Come back. This is Key Point here on TV3, also live on 3FM 92.7. You have an idea of the key issues that we are going to sink our teeth in together with you, our viewers and our listeners all across the world here this morning. And together with my guests, we'll deal with these key issues straight to the point. Alan Kyerematen, after his announcement of the decision to resign from the party and form this movement for change, was in our studios earlier in the week. Spoke to my colleague Bella Mundi, detailing a number of things, including the fact that in his view, the NDC has not proposed any alternative that in his view is worthy of consideration. They haven't brought any new policy. That's him. This is Alan Kyerematen speaking earlier in the week.
And I've already put forward a major blueprint, which is the Ghana Transformational, the Great Transformational Plan, yes. GTP. As I speak now, the NDC, I've not heard them talk about even one single policy. So how do you bring back NDC? To do what? As I speak now.
Okay.
To come and do what? Because they've not told us what they are coming to do. You are complaining about no jobs. Have you heard the NDC articulate even one policy?
In recent times?
Well,
are
you're talking
about...
No, in recent times.
Moving into the 2024.
Because we are talking about going into the future.
Yes, sir.
In the case of the NPP, we've done a lot, but we have serious challenges with the economy now. The Minister of Finance, in my view, has not given us a credible program to get us out of the kind of crisis that we have now.
Okay.
And so when I talk about going beyond the duopoly, we also need a blueprint for transformation. And I've already put forward that blueprint.
Well, that's Alan Kyerematen there. Now, let's get into the issues now. As we go on, I'll tell you why some people hold the view that he may not be that third force that the likes of Lawyer Martin Kpebu have been clamoring for. Others believe otherwise, that he has the persona, the gravitas to make a difference as an independent candidate. We do know that independent candidates in this country haven't had a very good history politically in terms of the impact that they have on elections in this country. And then also persons who break away from their mother parties to form their own political parties don't also do too well in the elections that they take part in. There's evidence on record to that effect. Will Alan Kyerematen break that cycle as the NPP seeks to also break the 8? What impact would his resignation and the decision to contest as an independent candidate have on the new Patriotic Party? Joining me in studio, I have the Member of Parliament for the South Dai constituency. He is a private legal practitioner. He is also a member of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament and a number of committees. Nelson Roxon Dafia-Mekpo is with us in the studio. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Quincy. And Prof, good morning.
Good morning, Honorable. Good to see you.
Yes.
Dr. Asa Asante is a senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana Political Science Department, and then also having written extensively about the democracy in this country and political parties in our democracy. It's a good time to have you join us. Dr. Asa Asante, good morning.
Good morning, Alfred. Good to see you.
Also, Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner. He is leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups and also the convener of the Kumi Proko Reloaded demonstration. He's with us. Dennis Miracles Abuaji is a presidential staffer, and he is also going to be joining us. As we go on, we will be joined by Dr. Kwame Sapong Esiedu, who is a Research and Development Fellow with the Center for Democratic Development, CDD, when we get to the issues of the health and matters arising. Now, let me start off with you, Dr. Asante. After hearing from Alan Kyerematen after this Special Delegates Congress, the concerns that he raised with his Northeast agent who was manhandled, he says this was not a party that he joined or he sought to develop. As a founding member of the party, he had no choice than to resign, to leave the party that he helped found. Did not come to you as a surprise, did it?
At all. It did not come to me as a surprise, simply because from the word go, the NPP created that fertile grounds for these things to happen. You recall that before the start of the campaign, the party had issued an edict that nobody should do anything like campaign until the whistle is blown for them to start. Before they could say Jack, people had already started, and the party sat aloof without dealing with those people. So it emboldened a number of people, and all that we saw was that they've thrown all the rules of the game into the dogs, and they were doing their own thing. That was the beginning of the troubles ahead. Then there were also the issue of incumbency and its what abuse, redefined as what the establishment candidate factor. It also featured prominently, and they talked about it. And anytime people talk about it, they shove it under the carpet. Events got worse when 26 August election was held, and you saw what happened. Even though I admit, generally the election went on smoothly and all that, but we saw an incident that really led to the surprise of many who were following the process. There were attacks, intimidation, and the rest of them. If you talk to the leaders, or as we listen to them, they created the impression that, this is, everything went on well, but there's at least one thing that we can, just to tell us that we can gloss over it and all that. But let me tell you, in election, any bad move or any incident is bad enough to rock the boat or destroy the whole electoral system. So for me, it was not an ordinary issue. If you look at Trematin and all the things that he said, he chronicled all the things that have really gone against him and all that, and he came to a firm realization that this is not what he bargained for, just to quote him directly, and that he had to vote with his feet by leaving the party. For me, he demonstrated a certain, level of, democratic maturity, in the sense that one would have thought that, yes, he will stay there and fight the process. But he has realized that, look, the structures that are put in place will never give him the opportunity to do what he's supposed to do. So the best option for him is to leave the process. People have criticized him, people have praised him and all that. But for me, from where I sit, I believe that that decision was a good one, to send a signal to political party operators that, look, if you are operating a democracy, it is for everybody. So when people bring their concerns to you, you need to address them head on than, paying lip service to it. And that is one of the reasons that edged him out of the party. Now, his, absence is something that is going to create all the difficulties for them. You and I know, and I know that my champion lawyer here doesn't support the third. He supports the third force. That, yes, is a reality. But this one, lawyer, I would disagree with you. Because if you follow the political history of this country, we have started from 1951, from the two-party tradition. If you look at the parties that we have formed, they have all, rallied around either CPP or UGCC, metamorphosed into other forms. So the two-party tradition has been with us. And it is not also something that is new to us, because if you look at the colonial policies of the British administration, almost all the colonies that they controlled, they left with a two-party system in place. They themselves being a two-party, America being a two-party, Canada. In political science, what we have observed over the years is that if you look at all over the world, where two-party traditions are firmly ingrained within the political system, it becomes so difficult for a third party or a third force to emerge. Yes, we recall the great showing of Ross Perot, yes, and the rest of them. But you realize that, hey, he could not survive the strength of the two American giant political parties, such as the Republican and the Democrat. Look at Britain. We have seen all manner of moves, but the two traditions remain. In this country, it is even stronger, because if you look at, we don't want to know any other party except the two traditions, Dankwa Buzia 1 and then the CPP. The NDC will tell you that the antecedents come from what? The CPP tradition and the rest of them. So you realize that from that perspective, it's going to be difficult for him to win. And then more so, when you look at the electoral system that we have, the first past the post system, it doesn't allow, because it gives one person we are voting for and all that, and you need just one vote to cross the finish line into what? To becoming a presidential candidate or a parliamentary candidate. You realize that it is so difficult for you to break through and then come out tops. If you look at the arguments around, having a third force operates better when you have what? A multi-party system. In political science, a multi-party system is different from a two-party system.
But we don't have a multi-party system.
No.
We practice a multi-party democracy.
You are using the concept loosely, but let me take opportunity to shed light on that. When we talk a multi-party system in political science, we are saying that more than 2 political parties exist in the state.
Yes.
And each of them have equal strength, equal resources, and power to win power and form government. But more often than not, they are not able to form a government exclusive to themselves. So they form what? Coalition government. They have to join their apron strings to existing political parties to be able to what? Make a great showing. That is it. So you have some in what? Israel, Germany, and the rest of them. All right. More often than not, they tend to be a coalition government. That is where third force can gain a certain route. If you talk about a two-party system, we are talking about more than 2 parties exist in the state, but only 2 have the political wherewithal and resources to win power and form government exclusive to themselves. So if you look at our system, you realize that it's only NDC and MPP who will be able to win power and form a government exclusive to themselves. But if you talk about a multi-party, more often than not, you need to tie your apron string to. So strictly speaking, if you really want to go on the third force agenda, you need to amend the constitution and create opportunity for maybe a multi-party, where you have a few parties. We are saying that these parties are going to exist and they have equal strength and equal resources to be able to operate. Then, a third force can be possible. Other than that, if you leave it the 2 parties, there is no way that a third force can be possible. I have done a research with my team, and Alfred, you bear me out. The last election, when we did Election Watch, we were able to read into the electoral history of this country the performance of each of the political parties from 1992 to 2020. We realized that all the political parties, the smaller ones, I'm talking about the minor part, their performance put together did not go beyond 4%. You are talking about 50% threshold and beyond. So how can a third force or an independent candidate win the election? So it is highly impossible. But what that person can do is that he can also rock the boat of the party that he has come from. All right. Yes, if he is a strong person such as Alan, there is no doubt about that. Because you see, in election, there are indices that really favor a candidate one way or the other. One is your popularity. Alan, there is no doubt in my mind that in Ashanti region and in Central and even the Eastern region, where is a stronghold of MPP, Alan has great number of supporters there. So if you want to count him out, I'm afraid, then you are going to laugh at the wrong side of your mouth. If you look at the...
So for you, he has
yes, he can persona, be a kingmaker.
But you get a sense is that he's going in there to win or to be the kingmaker in 2024?
He himself knows that he is not going there to win, but he's going to rock the boat of the NPP. That is a fact.
You think he knows that he's not going to win?
Oh, no, he's not. He cannot. But he will rock the boat. Because, look, we did some simulation for this TV station last election. And let me just refresh your mind. We did a national average of the NDC and MPP. For the upper limit of the NDC, they should get about 6.6 or 6.7 million if they are to win the election. And then for the NPP, they should have about 6.8. For other political parties, about 1.5. If we hold all these factors constant, you realize that if really Alan want to really rock the boat of this party, he and the other small parties should be able to galvanize about what 1.5 to 2 million votes, and to push the election to a second round. We did another simulation where we said that, look, for you to be able to push the election to a second round, right? There are just 1 second. Yeah. When NDC is able to increase its votes by 30%, all right, their national average, and then MPP decrease, their performance decreases in their stronghold by 30,000 votes, you are going to push the election to a second round. So it is easy for we are saying that if NDC is able to increase its performance by 30,000, and that of MPP's performance in its stronghold decreases by 30,000 votes, the election is going to be pushed into a second round. But this is what the simulation we did before the 2020 election. So this time around, you push it even to 50,000. So is it not possible for Alan and other political parties to be able to do this? Yes, especially against the backdrop that you are looking at the factors that influence voter choices in this country. About 14 of them. The first one being the economy. All right, look at the economic state of affairs today. There is no way that what type of message is MPP going to churn out to the people in order to convince them to vote for them. Even if the economy improves, the question, $1 million question to them that, are you the one who caused it to improve, is the IMF, simplicity, isn't it? Then another factor is the infrastructure development. Because of the poor performance of the economy, you are not able to deliver the development infrastructure in every part of the country as the Constitution enjoins all of us to do. All right, that there should be development in the nook and cranny of this country. Everybody should have a fair share. Can they do that? The third factor that influences voter choices, it is rule of law. That one, yes, anything can happen there. But issue of corruption is another one. Look at Transparency International figures on corruption. If you look at the performance, Nana's performance is clear compared to John Mahama and all that. That NDC administration was able to manage corruption far better. Transparency International figures show that. Are you with me? You move to unemployment. All right, unemployment is one of the indices of voter choices. So all these things are going to weigh heavily against MPP. In addition to Alan's factor, he is likely to push the election to a second.
In fact, I'm going to come back to you as we go on because of the references you make in some of the elections gone by and the representation, the impact that persons, one who went independent made, and then those who also broke away from their mother parties. What impact did they really make, and what difference? What is the differentiating factor in this case with Alan Kyerematen coming in? Does he have that persona and the verb to make a difference, to break the trend of persons breaking away from their mother parties not doing too well? Or otherwise. Now, also joining us, Professor Enoch Antwi is with us on Zoom. He's a leadership and governance expert. He's the Dean of the Business Unit of the Academic City University. Thank you, Professor Antwi. Appreciate your time here on Key Point. Good morning.
Good morning, Alfred, and greetings to all your listeners and viewers all over the world. I am thrilled to be here.
Indeed. Now, take a look at this. From what we glean from the political history of this country, there are some individuals who broke away from their mother parties and contested elections. These are the persons. Let's run through them quickly. And then also I'll take you into the 2000 elections and then also the 2016 elections where some of them participated. Charles Reku Brobe, we do know, broke away from the NPP, formed the United Ghana Movement, UGM, in 1996, contested the 2000 election. He secured just about 0.32% of the votes. It's about 22,132 of the votes cast, less than 1%. Now, his strength and impact and influence, comparative to Alan Kyerematen, we would say they are two different people. And so it would be unfair to the fact, if you want to make that conclusion, that because he got less than 1%, Alan Chimantin is going to do the same. Gusitano, in 1999, he parted ways with the NDC to form the National Reform Party, citing issues of corruption and many other things, and also these similar issues that Alan Chimantin raised. He contested the 2000 elections, polled 78,629. That's 1.21% of the votes. And remember that in that 2000 election, the NDC lost. Okay, and some have ascribed this to Gusitano taking some votes from the NDC. We'll get to that. Obeda Samoa and Co, remember, he was a former chairman of the NDC at the time. He broke away from the NDC to form the Democratic Freedom Party in 2006. That party got 27,889. That's 0.33%, less than 1% of the votes in 2008. That's the presidential election. Now, he came back to the NDC, though, because he said that he's seen some changes and so on about the issues that he raised. Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings, First Lady, very powerful in the party, founder of the 31st December Women's Movement, wife of the founder of the party, broke away from the NDC. In 2012, contested the 2016 elections, polled just about 0.16%. That's 16,935 of the total votes cast in that particular election. But did that make any significant impact on the NDC's votes? Because in that election as well, the NDC won and lost in 2016. They lost. Alan Kojo Chimantin, here we are, breaking away to form the Movement for Change. What would be his impact in the 2024 general elections? That's the question that we're asking. And as we go on, we'll get into the specific detail when I come back to Dr. Sarsante. But, so for you in the NDC and taking cognizance of the reasons that Alan Chimantin raised for this particular decision, and the fact that you are not immune to some of these breakaways and so on. It did not come to you definitely as a surprise because of the specific issues that he talked about, which has been playing out over time.
Yes, Alfred, thank you again.
Prof, please hold on for me.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Once again, good morning to my co-panelists, and of course yourself, and my constituents in Southern Peki, Bali, Pevet, Nongo. I'm not surprised, and of course the NDC is not surprised, mainly because the issues that Alan raised to anchor his departure, as it were, from the NPP to his announcement to state that he will be participating in the national politics as an independent person, were similar to the issues that he raised in 2008 when he first left the party and he had to be impressed upon to return to the fold of the NPP. But you see, NDC, we have suffered some of these in the past. And we're given all kinds of names by the NPP for persons being aggrieved for one reason or the other and leaving the fold of the party. We were labeled, giving all sorts of names and labeling. Today, the shoe is on the other leg. And I want to find out from them if they can go back into time and label themselves in the manner that they labeled us. But that is by the by. For anybody to suggest that the departure of Honorable Alan Chimantin from the fold of the NPP would they have an adverse effect on their political fortunes, hasn't perhaps watched keenly the national politics. It would certainly have an impact. But you and I cannot sit here and determine that. Because you see, others are using the views of NPP party executives in Ashanti and elsewhere to gauge his popularity. Meanwhile, he's very popular among the generality of the voters in Ashanti in the Akan block. So if you use that earlier indexes to gauge his popularity, you may get it wrong. In fact, that will be determined during the outcome of the 2024 elections, because a lot of factors are going to go into play. But a bit of hindsight into time. Look, political parties and politicians have always merged, metamorphosed from one group to the other and all. If you recall, the collapse of UGCC after 51, it led to some key members forming a lot of parties on religious, tribal, ethnic lines. You recall Northern People's Party, you recall Muslim Association Party, National Liberation Movement, Anglo Youth Organization, Togoland Congress, GAN, Shifu Mokbe, and all that. They participated in 54 and 56 elections. But Nkrumah saw the danger that these tribal groupings or political parties portend for the country. So what did he do? He enacted what we call the Avoidance of Discrimination Act, CA, the law we call CA 38. Now, as soon as he did that, he forced these parties to form what has become known as the United Front Party, the United Party, UP tradition. And over time, UP also collapsed, leading to the emergence of the PP towards the 69 Second Republican elections. Then 79 came. So political actors will always oscillate in and out of parties with fortunes. Either when they leave with fortunes, or when they come, they bring in fortunes. So certainly, we are not taking Alan's departure from the NPP lightly. As the NDC, we are studying it carefully and see what sort of political strategies we can put in place to align along certain lines. But it was very interesting listening to Alan a while ago, when perhaps his first salvos are towards the NDC for not coming out with any policy. Clearly, he hasn't read our 2020 manifesto. Clearly.
You say you haven't proposed anything?
Yes, and I'm saying that if you had read the NDC's 2020 manifesto, which was a huge document.
Very detailed.
Very detailed, crafted on thematic lines, from education to health, to infrastructure, to industry, to trade, commerce, banking, financial sector. And I'm shocked that he, being a trade minister for nearly 7 years under Nana Akufo-Addo's government, and also a trade minister in the previous Kufuor regime, will say this about the NDC. But be as it is, I want to put it across forcefully that the NDC has alternative policies. Indeed, if you had been listening to our flag bearer, for instance, has said that as a people, we cannot continue to proceed and do things as we do now. So, for instance, what is he proposing? He says that there will be a 24-hour economy. Some persons will go to work in the evenings, whilst others are coming home. He said that. That's such a major shift in policy. Because even hospitals now, if you have issues at night, you are in crisis. Our nurses are no longer nurses of yesteryears, being responsive to emergencies. So if we can have a group of staff who will be on duty from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and will earn salary for being at work at that time and attend to matters of state, that is such a major shift in policy.
And obviously, put measures in place to measure their productivity.
Of course.
Of
course, so that don't go to work and sleep. You understand? But it's such a major shift, and it's such a very interesting point to make. Now, he has also said that going forward, he doesn't think that borrowing, unbridled borrowing, should be the way to go. We must be able to look within and raise our finances. How are we going to do that? He's crafted a lot of very innovative ideas in doing so. So the Honorable Alan Kyerematen should take his time and look through our 2020 manifesto, which will be a manifesto that will not be materially different from what will be presented in 2024. Because you see, in 2020, as a party and as a people, we're not permitted by the generality of Ghanaians to implement our policies. And it's still a policy that we will look forward to implementing. In any case, all the policies and promises that his government and his party put forward before the Ghanaian people, what happened to them? They became empty promises. So it is not merely about promising the people that you do A and decide not to be able to accomplish B or not accomplish A at all. It's about being committed when you say that you do A and delivering on the mandate. So Alan should take his time and re-engage and re-look at our manifesto. But generally, to wind up on the matter, his departure from the NPP will have an adverse consequences for the fortunes of the party.
Well, I spoke to some political analysts who say that the NDC as well should take cognizance of his departure and the decision to contest as an independent candidate, and whether his personality can draw persons aligned to you as a political party to him who are probably disgruntled within the NDC as well.
If you listen to me, before I move on to the point of the policies, I said so, that we are studying carefully his departure from the NPP, and we are taking it very seriously to craft strategies to determine whether or not his departure will adversely affect us or will not to our benefit. It's a matter of studying how the political terrain goes, you know. And maybe Miracles will say it won't hurt them, but I know that it will hurt them. You are welcome. So Okase, I spoke to that matter, that we are not taking lightly his departure. We are actually serious about it. We are studying it and see how, if it will hurt us, we'll have our strategy. If it will not to our benefit, we'll welcome it.
Okay, let me welcome, as you're talking about welcoming, Dennis Miracles Aboagye, the Executive Secretary of the Interministerial Coordinating Committee on Decentralization. Good morning, Dennis.
Good morning, bro.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Martin Gbebo fits that definition of what is called a floating voter. It says it decides who you are a floating voter.
Yeah, every 8 years.
You swing.
Yeah, I wish we would do every 4. Because Duopoli, NDC, MP, they are getting solely headed. It's as if they know that, oh, come what may in 8 years they will return. I wish we would do 4-4. And so, it's good Alan has come. A message for the third party. Though I don't support Alan. No.
You don't support him?
I don't. I'm waiting.
You being a floating voter, he doesn't appeal to you.
No.
Why?
He's too much of MPP. He would come and repeat the same things, because the thing is that for all these years, why was he quiet? He was with Akufo-Addo. He kept quiet. You see, he didn't even, and I expect that where he sits, when he saw that the ship was sinking, he couldn't even leave early. He sat there, everything. So he was part of the problems. Alan doesn't appeal to me. No, to be very honest, there's no way I can give Alan my vote. No, it's not. I'm waiting, as I keep telling you, I'm waiting for the churches, the CSOs, and TUC to come up with a candidate.
And why do you think their candidate would appeal to you? I mean,
because we are looking for anything other than NDC and MPP will do. Yeah.
So anybody who comes out of their fold to contest as an independent candidate,
no.
You will not.
There's no way. There's no way I'll vote for anybody. It's deeply embedded within NDC or MPP. TUC has to rise up. You see, in the 70s, there was TUC formed a party then it collapsed, right? It doesn't mean they cannot try again. Doc, I'm sure you are the professors. Yeah, TUC had a party in the 70s. It collapsed. They should try again.
They were intimidated by the government.
So
they bring the army to come and cordon off.
Excellent. But you see, in the UK, it worked. The Labour Party, it's not the Labour people who formed the basis. So you see, the thing is that we are not reading enough history. There isn't enough time to go into all of this. Let's go into our history. If TUC tried in the 70s and it didn't work, does that mean that they should forever stop? You try again. In life, when you fall, do you continue lying down? Don't you get up? So TUC has to go back into their books, see how the failure happened in the 70s, join forces with the churches and the CSOs, and let's get our own candidate to rival John Mahama and then Bawumia, because these two, no. We've seen how they've dealt with us in the past. You see the current economic situation. We are suffering. The Kufuor himself, thankfully, now he's admitted that he's not up to it. That's how come, by the way, I keep saying that the Constitution says in Article 60, Clause 13, that if he and Bawumia go today, we'll have elections in the next 3 months, and so we should do it. So once he is admitted that he can no longer do the job, and we've seen Mahama, he came and did, Honorable Dafia Mekwenko, they came and did their bit. It didn't take us too far. The best is for us to try something else. So the whole thing is that TUC, the churches, the Duncan Williams, the Catholic Bishops Conference, Matthew Jemfi, Palmer Baki, all those, they should come together. Chief Imam, Sheikh Nur Shabutu, of course. I know Chief Imam is very old now, so but he has a system. They should come together. We can get a candidate. You see in Benin, an independent one. Yes. In Benin, it happened. It happened, and then today I disagree with my good friend, Professor Asante. Yes, he thinks it will never happen. But if you read U.S. history and the British history, you see that, I mean, it happened that you don't have these Republicans and so let's say U.S., the Republicans and the Democrats you see today. No, at independence, they weren't the people in charge. You had the Federalist Party in the U.S. The Federalists were in charge for about the first 12 years. Technically, some people will tell you that George Washington, the first president, wasn't technically a Federalist. He didn't, will the party card, etc. But he belonged to them, right? Then eventually the Federalists were seen as too elitist, and then they would not adapt to the changes, and they faded out, right? Then the Democrats you see today, they weren't just Democrats, they were Republican. The name had Republican in it, but today you see it's changed, and then you just call them the Democrat. Okay, so we had the Jeffersonian Republican Party, right? So the system is that when you watch today, these Democrats and the Republicans weren't the ones there at the beginning. So what convinces you that in Ghana, for us, once we started with CPP and UGCC, it will forever remain the same? No, young people are very disenchanted now. I mean, most young people don't have jobs. People have left universities, some close to a decade now, can't find a job, and think they will forever be enslaved to some notions of NDC MPP. No, the reason we shouldn't forever think that Ghanaians will always be glued to NDC MPP is that, you see, look at that figure. When COVID came, it's pushed about 850,000 more people into poverty, right? Every day, President Kufuor eats 885,000, right? People pushed into poverty. Every day, President Kufuor eats and drinks. He doesn't talk about them. Oforiatta and Co, they've made all the money. Miracles is here. They are driving all the big cars.
Okay.
If you accuse me falsely, I'll see you.
Yeah.
Assaulted by you. Those who are not here, you can talk about.
That's judicial intimidation.
Yes. It's my playground.
Indeed. Everyone is mentioning the name. He comes up and he just mentions everybody.
So the point is that, you see, where people, 885,000 people have been pushed into poverty as a result of COVID, and the president is eating and drinking every day, gasoline, V8, etc. You think these people will forever be glued to NDC MPP? No, they also want to survive. There are millions of youth on Twitter that now call X, Facebook, and no, Ghana is gradually changing. Look, and if you want to see the change, look at Chief Justice Tokonyo. Chief Justice, okay? When was the last time you heard Chief Justice saying that the judiciary wants independence?
No, they say financial.
Yes, financial. The finance is a and let me even add, before she talked about financial independence for the judiciary, she talked about even the discipline of the judges. At her vetting, she said, look, Article 146, that gives the president a huge role in the discipline of judges. It's not good for our democracy. She wants the president taking off. Gradually, you wait. Justice Tokonu, she'll come with another one. The point I'm making is that, so you see, for her. Yeah, and that's good. So you see that in the past, you'd have said, oh, because Akufo-Addo appointed her, she would not say anything for the development of Ghana. That's a Chief Justice talking. When was the last time you saw this? And not just one, no. At her vetting, she said no. The president shouldn't have anything to do with the discipline of judges, Article 146, etc. So the point I'm making is that the analysis that will forever be doing NDC, MPP, no, I don't subscribe
but
to
you
it.
See, if you made reference to what is said and expressed on social media as one of the indications for the evolution of our political parties as a people or as a country. But then there's that argument of that disconnect between what you see on social media and what people are actually willing to carry out in reality. You know, for instance, if you organize a demonstration, the number of people who declare support for you on social media compared to the people who turned up on that day, it was just a far cry from the reality that you were expecting because of this groundswell of support across social media platforms. How about that? It's making reference to that, at least will make your analogy questionable, to say the least.
Oh, very, very much so. I know there's that angle that sometimes what people express is not what they actually carry out, right? Yes, it's true, but I'm saying that we are changing, we are evolving. You see, and sometimes the change may be incremental. You may not just see it as boom, transformative change. No, sometimes it's incremental. That's why I've made reference to the Chief Justice.
Boom is copyrighted,
right?
though. Boom is copyrighted.
Okay, all right, then I'll pay some royalties, right? Yes, so it's incremental, but you don't know when it will just fast forward and then we get it. Yes, so I reckon that young people, but you see, when you say what people say on social media doesn't necessarily reflect, don't also forget that in the 2020 elections, I remember pundits, very seasoned pundits, I don't remember Dr. Asa Santi's predictions, but I remember very seasoned pundits who said NDC couldn't have had more than 38%. I don't want to mention their names, so let's focus on the argument. And I said, look, I'm not a seasoned politician. Political strategist, but I've always known that NDC, MPP, they lie somewhere around 45%. But, those days when we sat on on set, people said, no, NDC can't make more than 38%. The point I'm making is that you see that, what didn't we see? We thought we had buried John Mahama. Yeah, this man rose and made about 47%. I think that's a joke. So sometimes, you may think, what they say will not come to fruition. So what I'm saying is that just like in the 2020 elections, people who knew something said NDC couldn't have made more than 38%. The man, John Mahama, made about 47%. So what do we say to that? So it's not all the time that you'll find that people may express support, but they don't end up voting for you, or they don't end up supporting when it comes to the ground. Sometimes they do. And for me, the 2020 election was an eye-opener for me. I couldn't believe it. I thought, he was going to make about 45. The man went to about 47. And that's a huge change. So the fact that in the past...
It leads me to Batty. The election was, the research that we did, these are the figures. The national average for NDC is 48.96%. And that of MPP is 46.58%. Other parties, 4.4%.
Okay.
All right. So if you say that, then you are not in line with the data.
I'm talking about 2020
yes,
before the election.
Yes.
So yours was at 48.
Yes, that's what
but
no, I heard people. No, what you are saying is
so anybody who put NDC or NDC below 40, you are not talking about the data on the ground.
Excellent.
Yes. This is the work that we did. So from 1992 up to the 20 election. We did it here, election year.
Yes, but when I said that, I was on a different station. They said, no, 38%. Professors, so people who have been in this space, NDC will not make 38%.
And pollsters.
Yes, exactly. They will make more than 38. They will make and the people make about 10% more.
Okay.
So sometimes the what do you call it? The so-called Twitter and the Facebook posturing may not be the whole picture. That's the whole point that I'm making.
Right.
That's the whole point that I'm making.
Great stuff. Loyamans people, thank you. And Professor Antwi, when I spoke to the former president, John Agyekum Kufuor, months ago, he made reference to the deepening factions within the party. That's the NPP. We played a bit of that, and as we go on, we'll just play it in and put the issues that they raised in context. The specific issues that he raised last year when I spoke to him about the deepening factions within the party. What do you say that the NPP's failure to deal decisively with these factions is what has resulted in this decision, eventually, of Alan Kyerematen breaking away from the party that he helped form?
To a large extent, I would say so, because the question everybody is asking is, where are the elders of MPP? And Kufuor could have been one of the biggest elders of the party, but for the fact that when he was about to leave, he bequeathed the establishment favorite to Alan Kyerematen against the Kufuor-Addo's team. And because of that, Nana Addo, the current president, did not want to give President Kufuor, ex-President Kufuor, that respect. I say president because in America, if you've been a president before, we still refer to you as a president. So the elders in the party have failed to bring unity and peace in the party. So as it seems now, everybody is doing what they want in the party. But let me juxtapose this with what Reagan said when he left the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, citing his vision, his temperament, and then no scandal on him. He said that I did not leave the Democratic Party, the party rather left me. So Alan did not leave the NPP party, the party left him based on the things that he cited. So the leadership of the NPP should have settled this, because Alan raised a lot of issues that this is not the NPP that he knew that they formed. And I know one NPP, one of the founders who passed away a couple of years ago, who told me personally that this party did not show gratitude to the elders who founded the party. He said he donated 14 pickups to Professor Dubois. And when he was on his sick bed that I saw him dying, the party gave him only 500 Ghana cedis and a box of kiso. So is that how we treat people who are served in the party? So the question we should be asking ourselves is, was Alan treated well? I think no, because he gave a lot of money to fix the party's voter register, which he complained that it's not the one that he saw. He talked about intimidation. He talked about lack of trust in the party from the top hierarchy. But you can see, and the violence that we also saw, that that's not the NPP that he knew. But we can also see that Alan is now free to speak his mind. Why he was quiet all along, I don't know. But history will tell you that Alan was the Ghana ambassador to US during Kufuor time, 2001 to 2003. And then Kufuor brought him home to be the Minister of Trade and Industry. At that time, we had the starch production, we had the distance learning, all at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And you can see that the idea...
Oh, unfortunately. We would reconnect with Professor Antwi in a bit, developing that very, very important point about Alan Kyerematen and his influence and impact. But Professor Antwi, so you were just enumerating a number of things that Alan Kyerematen, unfortunately, we would reconnect with Professor Antwi. But
hello?
Hello? Yes. Dennis, you see?
Can you hear?
Yeah, okay, I can hear you. Let me just conclude with Professor.
Yes,
Antwi, yes, I can hear you. I lost you briefly, but if you listen to yes.
For you, the internet system, and when people, I'm using my phone because I left my lab.
So that's
let
okay.
Sum everything up so that your other panelists can continue with that. Alan is free now speaking because he's got the freedom to speak. If you look at his logo of the butterfly, it's a movement. And he's saying that a movement for change. And the motto is that Ghana will arise again. Now, anybody who politically or strategically wants to use a movement is trying to tell the whole populace that we don't need political parties, but we need a leader. So that is the point I want to put across, that the way things are in Ghana, we don't need political parties, but we need a leader. And that is why he's bringing a movement. As to whether the movement will thrive from now till December next year for the elections, only time will tell. But if you look at the chunk of the voters for MPP, we have about 60% and over of the MPP voters being from the Akan regions. So we're talking about Ashanti region, Eastern region, Western region, Brunei region, Central region. The Akan-based regions are majority of the voters for the MPP. For NDC, we have multiplicity of tribes that vote for NDC. So will Alan be able to cut through the Akan-dominated, regions and get a chunk of the MPP vote? Again, time will tell. But we can see that Alan was branded in the first place inappropriately. With all that he's done for almost 12 years in one Ministry of Trade and Industry, Alan shouldn't have been branded as Cash, that he's Alan Cash, because he has done enough for the party to be known for those things he's done, not just the cash aspect. So Alan Cash was a wrong tagging or branding for him. Then we also saw posters of him being said that Adruno, so it is his turn now. That was also an entitled raising of him. That was also wrong. But all said and done, I think that does he have the capacity? If you look at everybody we mentioned, Gujitando, Obeda Samoa, Nana, Rollins' wife, and Reku Brobe, none of them passed the 2% threshold. And that tells you that at the moment, if we even bring Kwame Nkrumah back to stand as an independent candidate, that's going to be difficult for him to win. Why do I say that? Because I went round to all the grounds, to the limited voter registration that we are conducting. I talked to people. Alfred, it seems that some of the people who are registering might not, on a cursory look, might not even be up to the 18. Some were saying that they registered in 2018 as, 2020 as 18-year-olds. And now they have come back again that they are 20. They are 18 years. So it means that the time that they said they were 18, they were not. And I've seen that the two political parties, NDC and MPP, they have agents who are challenging the age of some of these individuals who are registering at the offices of the Electoral Commission. What is happening on the grounds is that each political party is busing people to come to the Electoral Commission office to register. They are giving them food, they are giving them water, and then they will bus them back. The individual candidates are not able to do that. And research has shown that if an individual is registered by a political party, they bus them there, they give them food, they give them water, and they are all listing the individuals. That is the first time voters, they know they will vote for them. So NDC have a list of those they think are their people, in quote, that they will vote for them. And MPP also have the list of their people. We don't have a list of independent candidates now, but if you look at the Ghana Statistical Service, we have almost about 2.3 million first-time voters that we anticipate to join the voter list. If that is the case, that can also be a block to change the dynamics or the narration of our voting. So independent voters, the incoming first-time voters, which is being targeted by the two political parties, makes it difficult for independent candidates to thrive as of now. So we have to look at, if we're looking at the third force, then somebody must start, as Alan has started. But I can confidently say that if you look at everybody contesting as an independent candidate.
But Prof. Senchi, so if you talk about Alan Kyerematen not being treated well, as was expected, exactly what do you mean? Because you make reference to that Drew also message, which you say was wrong in the first place. And if you listen to the persons around him, they say that to the extent that the promise was made to him by the current president on a platform that after me you are coming. And so it was just right for them to have made that reference while they were campaigning. And then also the fact that it has to follow a certain chain. Did the evolution of the politics in the NPP really give credence to this promise? Or you would say Alan was just in a fool's paradise, thinking that this promise would automatically be fulfilled?
Exactly, Alfred. I don't know if you believe in most of the promises of Ghanaian politicians. I don't know if you believe in that. But let me make this clear to MPP supporters that politics is moment. I'm going to repeat this. Politics is moment. So when the moment brings somebody, it is not those who have been there long that politician, politics bring to power. Look at Obama. Look at Donald Trump. It is the moment that brings a leader. It is not those who have been there longer. So MPP tradition will create that problem. The moment brings a leader. And if Alan believed that promise at that time, that is wrong. Because when he was even Minister of Trade and Industry, The 2 deputies around him were spies on him by Nana Addo. Every individual in MPP who was tagged as Alan wasn't given a position in MPP's time, in Akufo-Addo's time. So what was he thinking? You know, at cabinet, he was there alone. He was a lone ranger because everybody in the cabinet was appointed by Nana Addo. So what was he thinking?
Well, there were ministers of state who were also with Alan Kyerematen. The Deputy Finance Minister, Abnosi Asari, the Railways Minister, John Peter Mewu, and a number of MPs, 20 of them.
What I'm saying is that when it comes to the core decision making, was any of Alan's taking? Talk about the NAPCO money, the money that was supposed to be used for 1D, 1F, and then they took a chunk of it for NAPCO. That was against Alan's principle. He said it. You know, but nobody took it. So when Alan had been a gentleman in a party, but the kind of political dispensation we have, if you rely on promises, if you rely on being gentle, the system will scam you. Why? Because we have mafias in our political system who, even delegates who come to you, will lie to you, but then they will go and then vote against anybody. I'm thinking about solution because our delegates are the most difficult customers we have now. And the choices that they make could be right or could be wrong, but only time tells. Today, I'm using only time tells because we will make decisions. You know, but in the end, time will tell whether the decision was right or wrong. So if Alan believed in that promise at that time, that when Nana Addo leaves, he will bequeath power to him, then he reasoned wrongly, because that was a thinking error.
Okay.
As Nana knew that Alan was Kufuor's favorite and the established favorite at that time, he was also building an empire in MPP, thinking about an establishment, somebody who will continue his legacy, in quote, what he's bequeathing to Ghanaians. And Bawumia fit into that perfectly well.
All right.
If you look at, I'm going to end this way. If you look at the Darwin's actual theory, the word fit is used in terms of ecological niche. So if you look at Akufo-Addo's vision and mission and his ecological niche, Bawumia fits for him than Alan.
I see. Prof. Sankyi, thank you. Now, Dennis, so among a number of issues that Alan Kyerematen raised, reason why he withdrew from the NPP, in fact, resigned from the NPP after withdrawing from the flag bearer race. Earlier, the decision to withdraw from the race, he said the whole system had been skewed to favor a particular candidate, the establishment candidate, Dr. Bawumia. And secondly, he says that the party has been hijacked by a selected group of party leaders, elders, and government appointees behind the curtain power brokers and party apparatchiks, unscrupulous party apparatchiks, and a number of other issues that he made reference to. Reason why he says, look, this party, I helped to found the party as a founding member, but it is not worth continuing to be a member. I'm going to form my own movement and contest as an independent candidate. Certainly must concern you as a party, isn't it?
Alfred, thank you, and a very warm good morning to my seniors here, especially one of the biggest beneficiary of MPP's infrastructure in Ghana, Honorable Dafia Mekbo. And you know, it's one of the places I love to be, and I think he's also doing quite well in the area, and he's complementing. Yes, all the time. But Alfred, I think the only difference between what's happened in the MPP now with Honorable Alan Kyerematen and what happens in every other political party, the difference is simply because we have an individual who believes that he definitely needs to be on a ballot paper. And so if the party that he belongs to and the people who take the decision have decided not to allow him to be on the ballot paper, then he has no choice but to find another route to still be on the ballot paper. That is the only reason. Because really, if you listen to Honorable Alan Kyerematen and all the issues he raises, these are not issues that cause breakaway from a political party.
They are not issues that cause breakaway?
No. And I tell you
that the party has been hijacked by
Honorable Dafia Mekbo. I'll tell you,
party folks,
I'll later come on to the architecture of political parties and the structure. And I always say that most of our professors, and I'm using the word most of our professors, not all of them, are still living in the theories. and are not really in tune with the realities of the politics of the day in this country. And I think that it's time they begin to marry the theories in the books with what actually transpires in the 275 constituencies and over 38,000 polling stations. And sometimes you may think that the MPP and NDC at some point we agree on certain issues, but that's the reality. Honorable Kwabena Duffuor, if you read the message he put out a few hours before he withdrew from the NDC, the issues are not different from the issues Alan raised. And I have some paragraphs. He said, as at this time, the party has begun distributing the ballot papers to the various regions and constituencies with our involvement. He said that I wish to reiterate my commitment to the party and its grassroots. However, my concerns that the party is not ready to conduct free and fair elections is evident for all to see. Taking part in such would be akin to knowingly drinking from a poisoned calabash. After consulting with my support base nationwide, I've been left with no choice but to withdraw from the presidential election, as I cannot contest in an election which is blatantly fraught with irregularities, regardless of efforts to draw their attention. Honorable Kwabena Duffuor did not leave the NDC. He did not part ways with the NDC. In fact, he came back 2 days or so, I think a few hours later, to release another long statement to explain that in spite of his concerns, genuine concerns that he has raised, he's still part of the NDC. And let me tell you what, Alfred. Go and read Honorable Alan Chamanti's statement. These are the same issues. In fact, a lot of the issues he raises for his departure are issues after he has withdrawn from the contest. That's a fact. And sometimes I ask people that, okay, with all these interviews he's granted and all the issues of, I said this, I wanted to do this, they didn't allow me to do it. Of course, you're not the president. You belong to a group, you belong to a cabinet. Even our professors and our associations and our church programs, when we go, we don't take decisions based on individual views. We aggregate the views. And then the majority would, the majority view will go. You think that all of us seated here, even in our various groups, even Mr. Martin Pebu and the Kwame Preko Part 2, the one that failed. The management team of that group who organized it, I'm sure when they met, they disagreed on, let's take this route, take this route. And at some point, after it failed, some of them probably said, I told you, we should have done this. It's normal. But we should not distract the issues with the fact that he said there are issues. Which political party doesn't have issues? Which
Did you make any attempts to address the issues
that he raised? It has happened before. This same person did the same thing in 2007, and the issues were addressed, for which reason he continued to stay and contested in subsequent elections. Now the question is, if he had won August 26th, or even if he had placed second, a decent second in August 26th, I'm making this argument dispassionately, and we must do this logical analysis that if the man had won August 26th, or he had even placed a decent second, do you think he would have been here? Yes. Or even if he had placed...
You were looking for
exactly. Or even if he had placed a decent second, do you really sincerely think we'll be having this conversation? No.
But so there are fundamental issues he raises. His Northeast candidate was beaten. We saw the videos.
Raise them. No problem. Raise them.
There's a problem.
It is part of every electoral process, even our national elections.
The violence?
America, the mother of democracy, they are in court.
FBI. But there is no justification for the violence.
I am not saying, let me make the point and contextualize the issues. I don't want distractions. I am telling you that in every democracy, so long as human beings are going to queue and take decisions, expect some of these issues to happen, in as much as you wouldn't wish for it. And so let's even ignore MPP, ignore NDC in Ghana. The most advanced democracy show us one, that they go into the elections without anybody coming out to complain. Even America, the mother of democracies. So we should question the character of the individual. The MPP cannot say that the next elections will not have issues. The CPP cannot say that they will not have issues in the next elections. Even Ghana, in our own election that is coming up, we will have issues. Is John Mahama, who is likely to lose, going to denounce his citizenship because he didn't win the elections?
What did you say?
I'm giving an analogy, a very possible analogy. Is he going to denounce his Mahama has raised issues. Yes. Mahama has raised issues with Techiman, Techiman South? Yes. Okay. And I think he's in court, a lot of issues. He hasn't denounced his citizenships. I don't want us to... Democracies have its own challenges. And lawyer, you agree that in every democracy, these things will come up. Raise them. Some of them may be addressed, not in the way you want. That is the democracy of the day. We don't run the democracy based on individual aspirations. It is based on the collective decision. And that is why the organization has rules and regulations. Honorable Alan Kyerematen, all the issues he's raised post-August 26th, he raised them and they were addressed. In fact, they were put to vote. At the National Council, which is the second highest decision-making body, there are processes. It is the same National Council that set the rules for him to be able to be part of the process. Now, you raise concerns. The concerns go to National Council. Your representatives are present. A lot of your followers are members of the National Council. A decision is taken, and you are telling us that the organization that you belong to goes to a vote. About 70 or so people vote against whatever you bring up, and you have about 7 votes, and you are saying that you are smarter than the rest, then you don't belong to us. So we shouldn't confuse the issues. That fundamental question must be answered. That, Alan, should you have won August 26th, or should you even have placed a decent second, would we be having this conversation? Honorable Kennedy Agyapong beat you. He beat you to the second position, which you have been holding for all these years. He beat you to it. It tells you how much you lack in that aspect of mobilizing and organizing people. Now, we talk about the system and the fact that, you know, some people have been... You belong to a political party. I am very young. Okay, as far back as 2007 when we were having the presidential election that Alan contested, I was in Legon. I was in Legon. I am very young. If you sit now, for me to come in 2023 and be able to mobilize the same political party that you've been part of in years, mobilize the people around me to beat you in an election, you don't have any capacity to even make a case. You may not like the MPP. You may disagree with the MPP. But if you don't do the analysis the way we are talking about, then you are being emotional and you are not being sincere. This is a political party. Honorable Kwabena Duffuor raised the same issues that Alan raised. He hasn't quit the NDC. We only trolled the NDC, for a few days, that look at what you are doing, you are not bringing... See, the NDC went into an election, Alfred, and a female name was given to a male contestant, candidate at trade fair. That candidate came back and became a national... Honorable Edwasare. He didn't quit. The day of election, they opened the ballot at trade fair, and he realizes that a female name or so has been given to him. And he couldn't contest the elections. That is what you do in an organization. Yes, clerical error. But even he didn't quit. So for me, I think that issue of trying to make it look like Alan has no genuine reasons to quit the MPP. He's quit the NPP for his own selfish, parochial,
so all the concerns he
ambition.
raised are not genuine?
No, I haven't said that. Pay very close attention to what I said. I said that you raise those issues in the political organizations and they are addressed. The fact that they are not addressed the way and manner that you want doesn't give you genuine grounds to quit. Now, let me also go to the Alan and its effect on the MPP. You know, sometimes people have an overrated impression of themselves. And we've seen several of these overrated impressions in this country, several of them. This is not the first time. Alan is not the first time person that has quit NDC or quit the MPP. These analysis that others are doing, he will draw this, he will get this from this account, we do it for them all the time. All the time we do this analysis. Now we'll come back on the night of 7 December 2024 when, of course, the independent candidates figures will come in very early. And then you hear the same pundits and the same people saying that, you know, we are disappointed, he should have done right. You know why? Because, Fred, the reality on the ground is that MPP, NDC have done a lot of work for the past 34 years. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come cheap. Belonging to political parties is an issue of ideology and principles. That is why when I hear people say the voter people, the Ashanti people, they always vote for MPP, NDC, as if they don't know what they are about, then I think that these people are flawed. In the US, in the UK, you go to an area today, they will tell you that as for this area, when we vote today, we know they will vote Labour. They will vote Conservative. Yeah, we know the red states. We know the blue states. The identity politics always 80 to 90%. Yeah. The difference between MPP and NDC in any election is a certain 2%. Who would take that decision at that particular moment?
Every 8 years.
For you to be able to break, and that's why I always when I hear people go around the country, all the democracies around the world, which democracy has more than 2 strong political parties? It is always 2. until along the line there is a big surprise. But those surprises, they don't happen just like that. They happen under very, very, very extreme conditions. And Professor Entry, right?
Professor Entry
made a point about the registration. As we speak, the political parties are moving around. I'm still to buttress the Alan effect. Are moving around, mobilizing for election 2024. They are mobilizing. You think that in the morning of 7 December when people are voting, they just get up from their homes to come and vote? There are over 38,622 polling stations. The NDC has representations in each of these polling stations. The MPP has representations in each of these polling stations. You go around, you spend on logistics, you spend on resources, you move people from their homes and give them reasons why they should vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia or vote for John Mahama. The question is, between now, and I'm trying to contextualize the issue and not go, between now and December 2024, realistically, if anybody realistically comes to tell any Ghanaian that there is a likelihood of a third force outside the NDC and MPP, then the person is just not trying to be sincere with all of us. Alan is an MPP member, no doubt. Of course, even as we speak, he has about 2 or 3 people who are actually following him that used to be MPP members. So you can count that as an MPP loss. No doubt about that. Yes. That used to be MPP members. And they are following him. SK Boafo and Co. They forfeited their membership, yeah. It's automatic.
So Yabuabeng...
I haven't heard Yabuabeng, but I've heard SK Boafo and the rest.
So anybody who supports Alan, now that he has gone independent or withdrawn from the party...
automatic.
The party,
he's not part. It's automatic.
The supporters are also not part of the party.
No, once you support Alan, you are no longer part of the MPP.
That is even if you are an MPP.
You see, all the courtesies are extended to His Excellency John Mahama. All the courtesies are the same courtesies I'm now transferring to Alan. No other. The courtesies and all the, posture I have towards Mahama, I transfer all to Alan. He is now part of the opposition. He is an opposition political party. And per our party's constitution, once you support another candidate other than that of the MPP, you automatically forfeit it. But pay attention to what is happening. The party people who used to support Alan, from the north to the south to the coastal people, are publicly coming out to come and correct the fact that, hey, we were supporting you because you were part of our party. But now that you have left, we are no longer with you. And the numbers who are declaring that are more than those who are actually following him. Let me also quickly correct a certain impression that's been created. That impression that, I was part of the government, and I heard Professor Entry say it. Oh, he was part of the government, he raised an issue, and then they were not listening to. That is the lamest, weakest argument that every leader can make. And it tells you the person that is even seeking to lead this country. Imagine if all cabinet members from previous government, from Atamels and Jomama, and should come out and say this, even in TV3. When you go for management meetings, is it all the things that you, Alfred, you say that TV3 implements? Some of them would work, some of them will not work, but any leader that takes the posture that Alan has taken is a leader that cannot be trusted, and is one that everybody should be looking at in a particular way. Our job right now as New Patriotic Party is to look at the situation, analyze it, strategize in a way and manner that there would not be any impact. But in MPP, they don't vote based on tribal lines. If it was based on tribal lines, when we went for August 6th, Alan lost. August 26th, he lost.
I see. So
in the Ashanti region, and he lost in all the other so-called Akan regions.
You say that are flawed, but you will still do an analysis and hope that his withdrawal will not have an impact on you.
Because my argument is structured. The first point is about the persona and the reasons why I don't understand how these issues would lead someone that has an interest of a group and a nation at heart to quit a political party. Number 2, we're also trying to look at examples of people who have had similar situations and did not quit because it is part of the standard operating procedure in a democratic situation. Then the third one is those trying to create an impression. Those trying to create an impression that because Alan has left MPP, all of a sudden MPP has collapsed. I'm telling you that facts and figures don't lie. When there are facts and figures to discuss, opinions don't count. The facts on the ground is that ever since Alan started contesting elections in our party, he hasn't even crossed 10%.
Oh, see, in this instance, this is what your party's constitution says, specifically about the forfeiture of membership. Point 1, a member of the party who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected member of the party, or who joins or declares his or her support for another political party, it continues, or for an independent candidate, when the party has sponsored a candidate in a general by-election, automatically forfeits his or her membership of the party. So that's the provision of the MP.
Hold on. You don't interpret our political party. See, you have read one side. There are conduct of a political party. Your fundamental responsibility as a party is to protect the interests of the political party. If you work against the party, it's against the interests of the political party.
But if you remove them,
we are talking about those. Relax. We are talking about those who go all out there to declare their support for another candidate.
Yes.
I am telling you that anybody that has declared the support for any other candidate other than a candidate by the MPP forfeits his membership.
Have a candidate yet?
But you are supporting another candidate.
You don't have
but you are supporting another candidate. He hasn't declared. Hasn't he declared his intentions?
Decisions. Let me educate you.
Don't. You can't educate me on my party's rules.
No,
that's not part of my party.
It's a document.
Relax. You can take it up when the people are exited. You can support them in court. But I'm telling you that in our organization, once you declare
your party,
take it up. Take it up.
These people don't.
No. Take it up. For now. Okay. So what? Let me ask you something. So SK Boafo.
Yes.
When we go relax, when we go for our party meetings, and we are going to strategize, you come and sit in our room.
You haven't removed.
You are not serious, right?
You haven't removed.
You are not serious.
You are not serious. You are not serious.
You are not serious. So
I think yes, but while you round up on this, you see, there's an issue. This concern that Alan Kyerematen raised is not just with him. You've seen Boakye Agyarko's statement, which we have a copy of. Boakye Agyarko says, at least, quote, my brother Kyerematen has put his thoughts and feelings on paper for all to appreciate. How about the many who harbor similar and maybe more petulant sentiments in their hearts, but are not openly expressing same? There are many in our party today who have, out of dismay, resigned in their hearts. And are only waiting to walk away from us at the ballot box. Now is the time to smoothen ruffled feathers and assuage wounded sentiments across the length and breadth of our party. He said that should be your focus.
Has he quit the party? That is all part of the democratic processes. People have issues. People raise them. Some of them will be addressed. Some of them will be addressed in a way that they would want. Others, they will not. There is no problem with this. Don't you see people from various political parties dissenting all the time? I haven't spoken against that. There is nothing. As I sit here, I also have concerns. For example, my party brought some rules about who can contest for parliamentary positions and who cannot contest. I have my disagreement with that. I haven't quit the party. So that is not a basis for you to quit a political party. The only reason why you use that, and I gave you the Kwabena Duffuor scenario, similar sentiment. He's still part of the NDC. The only reason why you use that to quit a political party is that sense of entitlement. That a dream is so entitlement, that thinking that, hey, no matter what, I should be on the ballot paper. And that if it is not me, then I have to go and do something else.
No, that's not logical. You can't say that's the only reason.
So
I'll come to you. Why? It is logic because there are examples and precedences within the same context. People have gone through similar situations. They did not quit on that basis. Boakye Agyarko, as you read, hasn't quit the party. You understand? So your persona, your character, your sense of entitlement, that belief that it must be you and nobody else, but the decision is not yours. The decision is about the party people. If I were him, I would go and test my popularity on 4th November to see whether, hey, okay.
Well, he has chosen a different path.
Exactly.
So,
no doubt about that. But that doesn't mean that there is absolutely anything wrong with the MPP. Whatever is wrong with the MPP is not different from what is wrong with the PPP, CPP, NDC, Democrat Party, Republican. It is just a political party thing. And what you do in a political party is that you follow the structures and systems. If it goes your way, good. If it doesn't, you move on because you don't take the decision for the party. There are structures and systems who make those decisions for the political party.
So, Lawyer Martin Kpebu, you say that particular position of the analysis of the entitlement that is flawed in logic.
Yes, in logic. So,
I'll come to you on
okay,
that.
No problem.
Please hold on to it. Don't lose it. Nana Yao Sapong is Alan Kyerematen's aide. He's joining us for a quick reaction to a number of things that have been said. Nana Yao, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on Key Point. So, essentially, the concern, in fact, the reaction from not just Dennis Miracles in studio, but the NPP executives over the week, was that the issues raised by your boss essentially were addressed, and that the decision to quit the party, in the words of Dennis Miracles, is one that reflects the selfish interest of Alan Kyerematen. Is that the case? Hello? Hello? Oh, we lost him. We'll raise him back. Lawyer, you.
Okay. Yeah, so I said Dennis's point that it's because of entitlement that Alan left. It's not logical. We don't do that. You can't prove it that way. What it is that there are 1,001 reasons. You see, this is not like, what do you call it, an equation where you just put in the variables and you expect one answer. No. Somebody may be a stickler for rules. So then it's how do you rule out that he's not doing it because he's a stickler for rules? He's a stickler for fair play. Why? Why would you?
Because he has been part. All the issues he raised are not issues that only transferred in 2023. They transferred in the past. He could have quit in 2014. He could have quit in 2012. So he doesn't have that principle. I'm just giving you the answer.
Okay, good.
So
I'll answer.
I'm just giving you the answer.
Okay, great. Oh, that's this is easy for me to answer. And actually, one of the interviews, he addressed it. He says, look, he's raised these concerns ad nauseum. He's raised them.
Why didn't he quit if he has a principle?
Yeah, so. No, naturally, he has to exhaust. No, that's good. He has to exhaust what we call local remedies. Local remedies. You work. You have to play. You have to play within the team. So he raised them over and over because he even called the national chairman for being disingenuous because he said, "Look, we met. I raised these concerns. You haven't addressed them, and how do you think that I would just let go?" So that's the easiest. So please, the main point is that let's not just say it's because he's entitled. He's saying that the system is being what do you call it, skewed. The system has been rigged to favor a certain candidate, and he doesn't think that's a good way to go. And if you look at it, the fact that he can stand up, to be honest, Alan has to be lauded for doing this because we all know that this is the last time. But it's good that he didn't just think about his children, but he's thinking about Ghana, that he's taking such a huge decision. And if you look at it, it ties in with Socrates in his, the book that Plato wrote about him, right, in the Republic, right? Yes, you look at it, he talks about the qualities of a leader. He talks about fairness, justice. Okay, so the man is saying that, no, your system is not fair, your system is not just. The philosopher king, that's book 6, so we are coming there. So if you look at it.
Please.
Okay, I should hold.
Just,
fine.
No, don't lose that thought. Nanaya Sapong is joining us back on. Can you hear me, Nanaya? Hello? Hello? We'll rectify the connection with Nanaya Sapong. Lawyer Matsbebu, please forgive me. Yes.
Good. So I was talking about the attributes of a leader. You hear Socrates, right, says that as amongst them, he has, apart from courage, Rana, I just want to zoom in on the justice and this fairness. The man is looked at and things that look, it's not just about me alone. It's about Ghana. So he says, look, I have to sacrifice. And self-sacrifice is one of the biggest attributes of a leader. Self-sacrifice, just like I made the earlier point that Akufo-Addo is busy eating and drinking the best, the choicest food. The choicest food, whilst about 885,000 of our citizens have fallen into, what do you call it, poverty. He's not talking about it every day. And so for me, you see that he doesn't have self-sacrifice. But we are making the point. I'm talking about the attributes of a lead. But the food.
Okay,
Is that not the choices?
Listen.
The food we. But the food.
Use the word choices.
The choices.
Is that logical?
That's the best food we give. Naturally, the food is not better than what I eat.
So every weekend you have to throw all these things.
Yes, a lawyer. But if you say lawyer, the big 6, how many of them were not lawyers? The big 6. If you look at the leaders. lawyers. This in the 5 for independent. Out of the big 6, 5 are lawyers. So if you say a lawyer shouldn't talk, then I don't know why how this society will go for it. Out of the 6 of them, 5 were lawyers. The big 6, 5 were lawyers. So you always need lawyers to be in the debates, and this helps a lot. So I'm saying that when tying in, so to go back, the point to make was that we started with the fact that you had said he did what he did, that's moved out of the NPP because of entitlement. I said, no, it's not logical. Sometimes it's out of the person asking for justice and fairness. And then I tied in justice and fairness, saying that that is what Socrates says in Plato's Republic, right? Plato wrote about what Socrates, the great philosopher, very, very close to even the time the Bible was written, right? Long before. That's an old book. And he says that one of the attributes of a leader, or some, fairness, justice. And I'm saying that, so he doing that ties in with fairness and justice. Okay. So that's the point. And then I made a quick point that, so you see, President Kufuor, people are hungry. 885,000 citizens have been added to the poverty figures. He eats and drinks every day. He doesn't care about them. When we simply can cut down on costs and feed them. So how do you say I'm just going on?
But you are aware you are not a floating voter. You are NDC.
I voted for Kufuor.
It doesn't matter. You are aware you are not a floating voter.
I voted for the last time. So having voted for Kufuor, voted for
Nanaia Sapon. Can you hear me?
Hi, my brother. I think the line is better now.
Yes, and this quick response from you. The argument being made here is the concerns that you raised after the Super Delegates Congress were addressed, and that if you had come tops after the Super Delegates Congress on August 26th, you wouldn't have actually taken this decision of withdrawing from the party.
Good morning once again, and thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to respond to these issues. And good morning to your viewers and the other panelists who you have in your studios. It's unfortunate that we would go along this path. First of all, I think that even prior to the super delegates, I think 9 out of the 10 of the contestants who were actually pushing in for the 26th super delegate had raised so many concerns, which, to our surprise, almost all of them were not attended to. One of the very critical ones, they had to actually write a petition to that effect. So let's take it this way. You have 10 people contesting for a position. They then become the key stakeholders for that particular contest. 9 out of the 10 raises concerns for fairness, for justice, preempting some of the incidents that would be happening, which indeed did happen, raises concern on paper. This was thrown away, and indeed we go into 26, these things happen. And you think that these 90 persons would feel that indeed the party was fair to them, or the leadership at the time was fair to them. No. They had even raised these issues before the election itself. And let's get it straight. I think that Alan...
and were those issues addressed?
Not to the best of my knowledge. And that is what I'm saying, that if you look at what is happening, Alan in his statement on Monday stated clearly that he joined the party. He was part of the party from its foundation stages. He was the founder of the Young Executive Forum and the first champ. So he's a member of the foundation of this party. And he joined this party based on certain values. Among many values are fairness, accountability, and justice and transparency. And he does not see these things any longer in the party. It is not only Alan who has raised his concern. It's just that he is the only one who has been bold enough to stick his neck out. You understand? Now, let me take you back a bit. Boakye Darko in his recent withdrawal from the contest which was supposed to be a second round for himself and Adanimo, stated clearly that, listen, we have rules and of engagement. These rules of engagement were worked on. They were not put to they were actually worked on by executives.
But you see, Yasabon, I asked you a question earlier about...
If you allow me to land in just 30 seconds, that will be fine. Now, afterwards, Boakye Darko decided to refrain from that particular concept, citing unfairness and injustice that he foresaw. You understand? Now, after Alan's withdrawal, Boakye Darko comes out to say that it is Alan that has been bold enough to actually withdraw from this race and to state out clearly what he feels. There are many people who have withdrawn from the party in their hearts.
I think that point was made. That point, I've read Boakye Darko's statement.
I'm just building.
What I want to find out, I asked you a question earlier about the concerns that Alan Kyerematen raised and whether they were addressed. And you're saying you were saying that to the best of your knowledge. But it's either...
And if they were addressed, I do not think that we will be where we are today.
Is it that they were addressed, but it was not to the satisfaction of Alan Kyerematen?
If they were not addressed, I don't think that we will be where we are today. And if they were addressed as loud as some of our gentlemen are, they would have brought it forward. They would have actually put to you documents to prove that these things were actually addressed. Let us be honest. Even the former General Secretary, John Bol, he attests to the fact that there are issues in the party. People are hurt. People are aggrieved. We need to deal with the matters. But we tend to brush it off and push it under the carpet and think that we just want to skew the entire procedure to one particular side and just to make our agenda come true. That is not fair. Okay. Let us move away from all of these noise. I think that Alan Kyerematen has made clear his intentions. He has put forward a plan and a vision. He has put forward something he wants to do. Let us deal with the matter. If Miracle and his colleagues think that Alan does not matter, praise to God. Let us move into 2024. Let us see what happens. It is a 50% plus one. If the General Secretary who has clout, if the General Secretary who has influence, and if the General Secretary who matters in the party has come out to state that indeed Alan is a pillar in the party. Alan is somebody who has actually performed in this government. And Alan going out of this government and this party is going to have a dire effect, and for that matter, things should be put public. If such a statement is being made, and somebody like Miracle sits in the studio and thinks that, hey, Alan doesn't matter, his followers doesn't matter. Of course, how many of our parliamentarians lost their seats because of this same attitude? The two second most important persons in Parliament came to Parliament. I mean, Joe Wise came to Parliament through independence. We have a CMA in Parliament now on the ticket of an independent candidate. Are they not members of the NPP?
So it is possible for you.
It is more than possible, my brother. Okay. And I think that, listen, as our logo and our symbol actually means, all right? The bonnet butterfly represents and symbolizes transformation and change. It symbolizes hope. And I think that the majority of Ghanaians who are tired of the NPP and the NDC are looking for a place to lay their head, a place where they can trust. And I think that the election 2024 is not going to be a political party selection.
Thank you. Nana Sapong.
Individuals who have the competence, who have the vision, who actually have integrity.
Nana Sapong, thank you very much. Is aid to Alan Kyerematen there, responding to the issues that Dennis Miracle Sabuaji put out earlier. Now, this is key point. I'm going to go for this quick break. When I come back, the other weightier matters. No. We are moving on. You are not. He responded to the issues that you raised. We are not coming back to this. Yes, he's responded to the issues. So go for this quick break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Just close the doors, and you're in a world of your own. Travel is not just about the destination, it's also about how you get there. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
Life can get hectic, and sometimes we forget to prioritize our well-being. That's where Vernal Mineral Water steps in. A refreshing solution packed with essential minerals, Vernal Mineral Water keeps you hydrated and balanced. Whether you're at home or work, Vernal Mineral Water is there to keep you going. Don't let a busy schedule hinder your health. Make Vernal Mineral Water a part of your daily routine. Share the love with Vernal Mineral Water, the choice for a healthy, vibrant you.
This advert is FDA approved.
Many hands make work easier. It's all hands on deck to protect your family and friends from COVID. It's up to you and it's up to me. It's up to us. Together, we can protect the vulnerable in society as well as our future. Play your role and get the vaccine. We are stronger together. Forget the yab, get the jab. This message is brought to you by the Ghana Health Service, FHI 360, and Good Life. Live it well. Many hands make work easier. It's all hands on deck to protect your family and friends from COVID. It's up to you and it's up to me. It's up to us. Together, we can protect the vulnerable in society as well as our future. Play your role and get the vaccine. We are stronger together. Forget the yab, get the jab. This message is brought to you by the Ghana Health Service, FHI 360, and Good Life. Live it well.
It's great to be connected on a plane, but not all the time.
Throughout this journey, our contestants have faced challenges head-on, using every opportunity to exhibit their talents and introduce the world to the captivating beauty of their regions. Warriors! Join us this week for an extraordinary recap episode and immerse yourself once more in the unforgettable highlights of this season. The laughter, the tears, and the awe-inspiring performances that have brought us this far. Don't forget to secure your tickets available at the TV3 front desk and be part of the grand finals at the National Theatre on October 8th. It's a celebration you won't want to miss.
GMB 2023 is sponsored by Gino Tomato Mix, GTP, Techno Common 20 Series, AT, Pepsodent Charcoal and Lemon Infused Formula and Pepsodent Natural Herbal Formula, Geisha Moringa and Geisha Black Soup, Key Soup, Bell Pack Tissues, Sankofa Natural Spices, Vitamilk, Deluxe Acrylic Paint, Nescafe Blood Tonic, Heaven Black Mosquito Spray and Coil, Enapa Foods, Freedom from Casapreco, Frutelli Calipo, Duffy's Health and Beauty, Obuasi Bitters, Nubna Womwankasa, Dragnet, Shalatem, Top Choco.
Save 500.
Global Wings Travel and Tour.
Makeup was done by House of Tara.
To go down one more time right here in this kitchen. It's the battle between recipes and the mystery box. Which school makes it to the grand finale?
Akraka! Akraka!
We are not here to brag because, as our motto says, actions, not words.
It's gonna be fireworks.
We don't like to talk much, we like to show action.
Find out all about this here on TV3 this Sunday, 5 p.m. with me, Kukiti. It is Kitchen Wars Season 2.
Kitchen Wars Season 2, Sundays at 5 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Sponsored by Gino Tomato Mix.
And Napa Foods. Say Napa. Enye ono soko.
Welcome back to Key Point here on TV3. We're also live on 3FM 92.7. We're going to be rounding up on the first issue and then dovetail into this next issue, which is of major concern. In fact, the issues about persons living with kidney diseases dotted this week quite heavily because of a notice from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which eventually the CEO has come out to say that he wasn't approved. But people have actually paid for this 765 cedis that is yet to be approved by Parliament. We have receipts, which we'll be putting on as we go on. And as to how an unapproved fee was eventually charged on persons who are already struggling to pay. Take a look at this 25-year-old young lady. My colleague Godwin Asedeba sat with her for us to understand what's going on. Take a look.
Yes, at times I feel like I want to die. If I were having a parent, maybe my parents would try their best, but because of I don't, I feel sad. I want to do my transplant because they say I should do the transplant. And dialysis, I don't get the money for dialysis. What about the transplant? When I get money, I go. When I don't get,
That's the reality that they are faced with. Dennis, you were saying something?
Yes, so Alfred, I was saying that these Alan guys should understand, like I said, that they are now a political group. They are no longer part of the MPP. And they should accept and admit that. This playbook was played in 2007. Okay. And they were babysitted and pampered, and no, we've moved on. They should also move on. In 2000, when Kakra Semwa declared his support for Professor Mills, and this is to respond to Honorable Pebu's comment about forfeiture. I remember very well Honorable Dan Butchie, who was then the General Secretary. He applied the constitution of the party, and he told him that he's no longer part of the party. That was Kakra Semwa at that time, and we won. Again, Honorable Martin, I think that sometimes...
Oh, yes, Martin is sufficient.
Mr. Martin.
Oh, no, Mr.
The way okay. A manner on Saturdays, you make, and I'm using your words without any illogical comment about the president. I think it's because you said that if you cannot prove, then it's illogical. You know, every day Akufo-Addo is eating the choices of food. You are not there, you cannot prove. I think you need to stop. Make your case, make your points. People are listening. People are listening. People are listening. Don't eat into my time. Don't eat into my time.
Yes, if you
people are listening and all of that. You make your case. Let them take their decision. But this trying to throw out this conjectured propaganda, trying to stir up sentiment about the is unfair.
Well,
it's unfair, and I think I should let you know.
It's not the choices of
Alfred, why?
So
let me finish. You let me finish.
I gave you some.
And then on the Yao-Sapong case. Listen, the issue that Alan raised were sent to the National Council, Alfred, and for the purpose of your viewers and for education. It's not as if these issues were thrown out. They were submitted through a petition to the National Council, which are then these 9 candidates. But you see, the players don't make the rules. It is the National Council that makes the rules. When the National Council sat in the meeting, they didn't just throw Alan's issues out. They actually voted on the matter. They voted. The 82 people who sat, and if you know the composition of the National Council, it includes even former party executives, that know Hinington, and people who follow Alan were part of the meeting. Out of the 82 people who voted on 2 issues, and there were 2 issues. when you when you asked him for the issues, he couldn't mention them. But these are the two issues. And for the purpose of
in fact,
education,
those have been dealt with.
And
just
the first one was the venue of the elections. The second one was the multiple voting by the delegates. Each of them,
I just want to make a point.
On each of them, the National Council voted. They didn't just take a decision. No, they voted.
Okay.
When they voted, out of the 82 National Council members who voted, 79 voted against the petition of the candidates.
Okay, so the point is well made. Thank you. I think that the point, you have made the point.
If you say on TV that your issues were raised and that these concerns were not addressed, it is completely false. It is not true, and it doesn't really represent the facts on the ground.
Okay, but they also make the point that if you...
I thought you said the time was over, but you have the point to ask.
Makes an issue. No. If a panelist makes a point and you disagree, you make your point in a counter argument, in describing it as illogical.
Oh, but I use his own words. He said it, but I said something.
No, I just wanted to make a point.
I disagree. I made a point. He said that it wasn't logical. Did you say this to him?
Let's hear from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital
that the point I made wasn't logical. Did you make this point to him?
On this.
Did you say this to him?
Take a look.
Undertaking any increased price increases.
Okay.
And so at the institution level, the unit that is providing the service would come up with a proposal for a price adjustment based on their input costs, the cost of providing the service. And then this will then go to the head of that department, who will then pass it on to the Director of Medical Affairs, who will also scrutinize this and make sure that it is reasonable. And then it comes to a chief executive who will discuss with the finance central management. And then once that is done, then the proposal was then forwarded to Parliament through the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Finance for approval. And it's only when this has been approved that the institution can then apply those charges. But in this case, what happened was that the proposal was on its way to central management, but had not even got to central management when there was a jumping of the gun and somebody put up a notice prematurely. And so when this was noticed, a directive was issued from the Director of Medical Affairs to the department to ask them to suspend, stop immediately, revert to the old price regime till the new one is approved.
The people who are paid, what happens to them? They're 765.
And that's what you need to understand. These are chronic dialysis patients. They come to the unit regularly, week on week. So it is just a question of offsetting what they paid against in the next session. So this is so for us it is a simple in terms of there's no need to, because these are patients who are using the unit regularly.
So that's Dr. Opoku-Ware there. Now, responding to these questions about what exactly happened that led to this 765 cedis, which the hospital says wasn't approved, but yet patients were charged with that. How come? I have been joined, let me acknowledge the presence of Kwame Sapong. He is a CDD fellow and also a health systems analyst with international repute. I thank you so much, Mr. Sapong, for joining us here on Key Point. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, when you saw this and the reaction from the institution that was reported to have charged these fees, the CEO says, well, it was a decision that was taken by a staff to just print this notice and paste it at the entrance of the renal dialysis unit. And patients who saw this, about 6 of them went ahead to pay before the public even got notice of and raised that concern. What does this tell you?
You see, thanks so much, and good morning to panelists as well. I find the whole thing laughing. And ordinarily, as someone who dealt in the health space, I shouldn't be laughing at a matter as serious as this. But I'll tell you why I find it laughing. You see, people don't just get charged monies in Ghana willy-nilly. If you look at the receipts critically, and I think, Alfred, you have seen them, you would realize that a lot of the receipts have bank stamps on them. Am I wrong? The monies were received at banks. Secondly, there should have been a directive from the finance department for those monies to be collected because they were being collected into the accounts of Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Now the chief executive tells me, and you, and every Ghanaian, that these monies were collected on the whims and caprices of an individual staff member who just put a notice up at the renal unit. And this notice was seen by patients who, in an era where people are constrained financially, just went on to pay. And when the money started hitting the accounts of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, they didn't realize, because it says clearly on the receipts dialysis, so there should be a cost center for those monies to be paid. They didn't realize that they were receiving those monies until there was public outcry. For me, that is too much of a fine story for a public office holder to be telling us all. It just doesn't add up. And I remember that as I started seeing the receipts, one thing hit me. Even on the day that the chief executive of Korle Bu was speaking and said that it was an error that had been collected, I've seen receipts on that day that were collected from patients. So what was he then telling us? Was he out there to do a public relations exercise without instructing that the money should no longer be collected? Does that even add up? And you see, Alfred, when I started seeing the receipt yesterday, I made a post on Facebook and I said, are we getting into a stage where when something comes into the public domain, we almost certainly believe that public office holders more than likely would gaslight us or lie to us? That shouldn't be the case. We should expect that public office holders would be contrite and they would own up when things go wrong. Because for everyone, things go wrong. For all of us, things will go wrong when you are put in a position of trust. The beauty of being in a position of trust is when things go wrong, you own up, you accept responsibility, and you rectify them. But when you try to put the blame at the doorstep of someone else, when all the information coming out points to the fact that this could not have happened based on the whims and caprices of someone in the renal unit, it makes a joke of your leadership. And at that point, for me, we should start asking questions of the chief executive as to whether his position has become untenable.
Yeah. The chief executive, so he should be asked questions about his position.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Alfred, I can't hear you properly.
I was saying that you, in your view, the chief executive of Korle Bu should be answering questions.
Exactly, because unless the panelists there have not run multifunctional institutions before, which I know most of them have run because we all work in teams, they would know that this cannot happen because there's a finance component, there's a finance person who was accepting these monies through a bank. So that person should have given instruction for those monies to be received. There's also the unexplained part where on the 28th, when the chief executive was speaking, monies were still being collected. At the moment, you are saying that there are just 6 people. I disagree. There are 6 receipts so far. There may be people who've paid that we are not aware of. And for me, that raises questions. So yes, the Korle Bu chief executive should be answering very serious questions. And we shouldn't just accept his explanation, hook, line, and sinker.
It does not suffice that It says there is a structure that this goes through. And the fact that, and this is what he told me during the week when I spoke to him, that this decision was a proposal and it was going through a certain process. And within the chain of that process, one staff just decided to print the thing and paste it there. And that after the public uproar, it's been withdrawn and people are going to be compensated, sort of, those who paid.
Well, Alfred, hold on. The person is telling you the person put it there jumped the gun. So what about the finance department? Why were they receiving the money? Did they also jump the gun? And this is the chief executive officer. So let's assume that the renal unit got it wrong. Finance has got it wrong. You are sitting, you know what we call it in Infanti? It's called simpapeli. You are sitting at the top, not knowing what is happening below you or beneath you. And that, for me, calls his leadership into question. You see, initially, he wanted to put it just at the doorstep of the renal unit, and that's fine. But now we're seeing that finance is coming in, banks are coming in, because the monies have been paid at banks. Are you trying to tell me that the banks don't get instructions as to what monies they should receive for payment in lieu of dialysis? Who communicated to the banks? You see, don't let us make these things so simplistic. Sometimes I struggle when we have complex, especially in the area of health, when we have complex situations and we try to reduce it to the barest minimum and say, oh, it is just this small thing and it will be corrected. You see, because this whole renal issue raises larger questions, not just for the collection of the money, but look at the ages of the receipt, 25-year-olds, 30 years, 52 years, getting chronic renal disease and renal failure. What is happening in our society? What is driving this? Are we researching into this? What is the prevalence rate of renal disease in our country? Do we know? If we are going by the assumption that they say 10% of all reports to our outpatients departments are for renal-related problems, are we working? Are we checking whether this is on the ascendancy or it's on the decline? You see, so for me, I am looking at it, analyzing the entire span of the system and asking myself, well, you're telling me this, but there's a bigger picture that you are ignoring. And apart from that, Alfred, look, Korle Bu has about 400 renal dialysis patients, right? I listened to your interview with the chief executive, and I listened to him on a number of stations. In fact, I was with him on another sister station, where he said that, oh, they pay the taxes on these renal consumables, and afterwards, they go and they claim a rebate from the state. And so Korle Bu might have a slightly lower tariff than what goes on in other hospitals. The question I ask myself is, if we have roughly about 12,000 patients on renal dialysis across the country, and we are saying that Korle Bu is the lowest, let's even use their old rate. How many people can afford even 900 cedis if they have to go 3 times a week, and let's say they are charging them 300 times 4, almost 4,000 cedis just to stay alive? And we must remember that for those who are going to the other units, they may not be able to claim back these taxes. Why do we have taxes on these consumables? Are we taxing people to their death? So you see, I am looking at an entire span, and so it is not just about telling me these, for want of a word, cock and bull stories about how these monies got to be charged, but there are more serious issues that we need to unpick. We need to ask ourselves, this whole issue went to cabinet, because taxes just don't appear in budgets or in parliament. It went to cabinet. So didn't the people in cabinet realize that if the taxes were imposed, it was going to impact on the end user, who is the renal dialysis patient who is fighting for their life? It went to the Health Select Committee. Did they not see it as well? It went to the floor of Parliament. Did they not see it as well? So it seems to me the Ministry of Health and all the advisors in the ministry are technocrats. Did they all not see that this was a problem waiting to happen? It seems to me that this Korle Bu thing has brought to the fore that all the safeguards in our health system that were supposed to keep patients safe failed. And that for me is a huge problem because you must remember that renal dialysis is not covered by the NHIS.
True.
So what at all are we doing? So Alfred, we shouldn't just look at it from the minutiae of what the Kolebu CEO is saying, even though it falls flat when you start analyzing it. But we have a bigger problem we need to deal with.
Bigger problem indeed. And I'm going to come back to you on this. And Honorable Dafeamikwa, so you see, this issue that happened at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, even though the CEO has come to give some explanation, which Mr. Sapong believes, in fact, he's not alone in this. A number of people have made a strong argument that the CEO, has a lot more questions to answer as to how some fees that were not approved were actually charged, which we've been putting receipts of some persons who paid, who've sent it to us on the screen, and you'll be seeing it as we go on again. And it didn't come through Parliament, did it?
Now, let me say this. We are in the process of reviewing the Fees and Charges Act passed 5 years ago. It's such a voluminous document. You can imagine every state institution, the scale of fees being reviewed. The Subsidiary Legislation Committee is now seized with that work. We did some work about a month ago. The report is being done to be forwarded to Ministry of Finance for their input before the final approval. Now, let me say this. I think it is time heads of institutions, CEOs, MDs, should stop taking the work of PROs of their institutions. This is the kind of problem you can run yourself into if you take somebody's job. This is the work of the PRO. It is the PRO who should be speaking to these matters, not you, the CEO. Not you, the CEO. That is why when it comes to a matter of discipline, then you will discipline and say that my PRO, you fail to acquire all the facts, all the truer facts surrounding this matter before going public. And so for that, internal disciplinary measures will have to be meted out to you. Now you, the head of the institution, you've gone to goof. And people like me are calling for your head that you should be sacked. Now you are pleading. It's not right that MDs are speaking, CEOs are speaking on the simplest of issues. They will not let the state-appointed public officer who is paid, supposed to speak, to be the spokesperson of institutions, no longer handle matters in the media. Why am I saying this? Look at the nature of the notice. In fact, it's a standard way of communicating to the public by state institutions. When there are changes like this, you see notices posted on doors in the institutions or notice boards. All right? Just to communicate the information to you. Look under whose signature is the notice issued. Head of the unit. So it's false when he claims that this was a notice put out by some busybody. The head of unit couldn't be a busybody. It was a properly communicated information to him that going forward, this is the new rate applicable. And he saw a fit to put the notice in a very convenient way this way. So that when you approach the door and you see it, you have to go back and put your house in order. If you have come with 380, you have to go and put your house in order and come with 765. So the CEO for me has a problem there. Then two, I agree that as a nation, it is time we have a medical fund, a national medical fund. Look, where I sit, I receive a lot. Even this morning, I got a text message from somebody who's been hospitalized and is kidney treatment, and he wants support. We receive messages for cardiac treatment. We receive messages for surgeries, sometimes brain tumors, or some tumor of some sort. Because the state has not made provision for those category of medical conditions to be absorbed.
Now you agree, eh?
You understand me? So I made the point when Joy FM, permit me, when Joy 2 years ago showed a documentary regarding some persons who have had to come to the media and run campaigns. You know, people have made it a career now. They run a campaign for you. They raise the funds. They take a percentage. That matter came to Parliament. Somebody brought his condition. Somebody took it up, ran the media campaign, did the fundraising. And the person took like 50% of the money he raised.
50%?
Yes, it came to Parliament. The person came to us in Parliament to intervene. The person eventually paid half of what he took. So out of 100%, person eventually took 25%. Because he labeled all manner of expenses he had incurred. It's understandable, but it tells you that as a people, these conditions are becoming predominant as part of our healthcare delivery system. So I think that we need a national medical fund. It is not beyond us. Or alternatively, we amend the National Health Insurance Act to include, because there's a fund in there, to include the health conditions that the fund will cater for. Because these are special categories and they used to be rare, but now they are becoming common. Children. Look, on the receipt, there's a category where they say where the dialysis is in respect of somebody who is more than 12 years, which suggests that there are less than 12-year-olds who are being treated for dialysis. Less than 12-year-olds. Because of the kind of food we eat now, kind of chemicals we are drinking now, and all.
Right.
So my problem is, don't speak to matters if you are not fully seized with the facts.
Right.
That's my point with the CEO.
Indeed.
But moving away from there, as a people, this should wake us up. That what can we do? So as a member of Parliament, maybe I may need a couple of my friends, colleagues in Parliament. We can bring a private members bill to set up a national medical fund.
National medical fund.
We need a national medical fund so that when these matters happen, the people can apply. You see, in fact, it's the hospitals that have to be applying to the fund to enable them undertake the treatment. It may not even have to be the patient. It has to be the hospitals who are seized with the patient, where the patient has gone to for treatment. They will have to apply to the fund that within this first quarter, we have received this number of patients that have come for treatment and then this number of conditions. So this is the bill. Then the National Medical Fund will come in. We need it.
Well, Matibebo, it's a call you support, this National Medical Fund, especially because of how people are being priced out of getting access to quality health care.
Good. So maybe I have to interrogate it further to be able to understand, then I can lend support or otherwise. So then it means that we are accepting that the NHIS is not the way to go.
Maybe it has to be improved.
You know,
I think
the
that
inadequacies in the NHIS Act is that it doesn't cover this category of medical conditions that are becoming more common.
So can we then increase, open it up?
Yes, I said so. That alternatively, that we may have to amend the Act to factor in the careful.
Yes, so that the structures don't become too many.
Duplicitous.
Elsewhere, you hear them in the US, they have what they call Paper Reduction Act. They try to reduce this burdensome pass the too many, what you call queues and all that. So you try to simplify. So if we can improve the NHIS system, that should be easier because we've dealt with it over, right now it's over 2 decades, right, from Kufuor's time. Yeah, so by and large, we should be able to improve it. Just like in the US, they had Obamacare. You see that they tried to strike it down. The Supreme Court said, no, they will not strike it down, rather improve it, right? Yeah, so that's what I would support, because by all means, we need better outcomes. So every day, we have no option. Somebody met me the other day and said, hey, so but this talk, will it work? It will work. the more we talk, then the more, at least generally, as we name and shame politicians, which Dennis doesn't like, that's the only way we'll get them to act. Because
it's a lot more about how it is done. That's what the concern is.
Right now, so you say I shouldn't talk.
You are closer to him.
Yeah, you are the one who says no. I should stop hitting at this.
I always said, stop making a logical substantiated.
Every day we come here, it's because of poor governance. Every day. So there's nothing else.
We don't have conversations because of poor governance.
Let's stay focused. It's because of the poor government. So you see, so that would be great, because I think that if we continue like this, then we can get a better outcome. So, and then Alfred, so if I'm done with your question, can I add this side, the CEO's analysis, his response? I think the CEO is taking us for fools. So. There's something, and he doesn't realize. CEO. Yes, Dr. Ampuma. Yes, he's lying to the public and thinks. Does he forget that he works with people? The first question is that new charge cannot get into the system without his authorization. His CEO, what is he saying? That accounts can just go into the system. They call it what? Light wave management system. They say it's like the way GiftMix works. You mean anybody can just sit anywhere? And we must allow Johnny Hughes for going on this story, right? He first broke it. From what I understand, the system that he works, they operate, Kolebu runs a LHMS system, Light Wave Health Information System. Light Wave Health Information Management System. And it's only the CEO who authorizes those fees. Please, what's the CEO saying? He should come again. That account alone can sit down today. This particular fee is increased. Is that what he's saying?
No, clearly.
No, he's lying to us. No, he should. So because of that, I will support Honorable Dr. Ampuma. Just come out and say, oh, we made a mistake. We are sorry. We've reversed it. Then now he's saying they've told the department to reverse and what. What's Dr. Ampuma saying? That he is not aware. I'm challenging Dr. Ampuma that if he doesn't approve any increment, it can't go onto the Light Wave Health Management System. It can't go there. He should come out and tell us. So then it means that if what he's saying is true, then it means that any department, any day that they get up and they are not happy about the kind of fees that they are collecting, they can just go to accounts and instruct somebody that increase the fees. What's Dr. Ampuma saying? He should come again. We will not accept this kind of deceit in public service. Why? Just accept. Oh, it's a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Then we will see how to move forward. But to come and spew out such falsehoods, no, it's not on in a democracy. What's it? You've made a mistake. Just admit. Just admit. What are you saying? That the head of department can unilaterally just walk to accounts. Please hike up these fees, double it, and then pro tanto is done. What is that?
The banks charges service fees
on them.
Yes, which is a percentage of how much they collect.
No, Dr. Ampuma, please. We are not taking this. We are not taking this from you. Come again. Just come and say, look, all these things, we are sorry. That's how come, you see, the PRO. Right. So, Honorable Dafiameko, you brought in the PRO first. Yes. When Mustafa Salifu came, he said, yes, they had to increase. He was very ebullient on it. Down hold. It had to increase. Otherwise, so he spoke. Then when the heat came, the CEO now came back and sought to
justify.
Is he even just? No, he's now backtracking.
Yes.
Okay. He's now backtracking. So who gave Mustafa Salifu the information to speak? Who gave him? So Ampuma, listen, we can't run an institution like that. When you do that, you lose integrity. This thing come back again. Don't forget, you work with people there. You are not the only worker there. So people know how the system works. And I have it on authority that if Dr. Ampuma, you don't authorize any increment, it cannot go into the LHMS system, which works like GiftMix. Is that how we?
I also want to hear from the head of unit whether it is true that he was a busybody. He did this on his own.
Mr. Sapong, in a minute, you see, even if we're talking about this being captured under, Mr. Sapong, if you can hear me, if we're talking about, Dr. Sapong, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We're talking about this being absorbed under the NHIS. There are regions where there are no dialysis machines and so on. So what should be the way forward in improving the systems as a result of this, so that after this, some tangible interventions will be put in place for persons living with kidney diseases?
Alfred, thanks. You see, there are two things here. I'm quite sure you have the last speech I gave at the British Council Hall over a week ago. I keep telling people we should stop firefighting. We shouldn't treat this dialysis issue as an isolation. As I'm speaking to you now, I am aware that chemotherapy has also increased in Colin. It's gone up by about 75%. And so there are underlying issues around inflation, around exchange rate pressures, because we import all these products. And as a pharmacist, fundamentally, I know how drugs move in international commerce and the impact, all these parameters, exchange rates, bank charges have on it. So without limiting it to the dialysis or renal disease, we need to have an honest conversation around our healthcare system, starting from preventative measures. Because no health system should be designed such that at the point of treatment, people suffer. A health system should be designed to keep the population as healthy for as long as possible.
Okay.
If you look at, let me just finish it this way. If you look at the Health Sector Program of Works document published by the Ministry of Health, you'd realize that our outpatient per capita, which is the number of times the average Ghanaian visits a clinician, is very low. It's one of the lowest in the world. That needs to increase. So we need to be doing things like medical checkups so that diseases can be picked early at the outset. These are the things that we need to be having honest conversations from. And finally, I didn't want to talk about the system that they operate, but Martin has said it. And since Martin has said it, I'll say my 2 pence. The only person who can approve anything going on to that system is the Chief Executive Officer. And I didn't want to say it in so many words. But now that we know that, and I didn't want to say lie, but Honorable Dafia and Martin have virtually gone around it and said it. Now that we know that he's been disingenuous to the Ghanaian, thinking that we do not know the system that he runs, the bigger question we should ask ourselves is, has his position become untenable? Because if we allow public office holders to come and gaslight us with a straight face, and then come and beg us, like Honorable Dafiam was saying, and we accept it, we denigrate public service. And we shouldn't be seen as denigrating public service. And that's how I'll leave it.
Indeed. Dr. Kwame Sarpong-Asiedu, I appreciate you on this. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts on this very, very crucial issue. We all know, and Sasanti, before I come to you, Dennis, Dr. Sasanti, on this, because people we know who are living with kidney disease at various levels of severity, and the realities that they are faced with as well. Hearing this week and the explanation, will also support the calls for a lot more interrogation beyond what the CEO has said?
Certainly so. You can't manage public office and then come and then create problems like this and you get away with it. No, it doesn't work that way. Because for institutions such as Korle Bu and all that, there are systems that are put in place to work and produce results. So if you have a problem like this, then it brings to the fore that there is a problem with the whole system that you need to take a second look if you really want to do a good job. And so that is the first port of call. Then it also brings to attention that problem of institutions. In political science, when we talk about institutions, we are talking about rules, laws, procedures, and the rest. Are they following the right procedures? Because how do you get this fee into the system without proper procedure being followed? It tells you that there is institutional breakdown, all right? And this ought to be dealt with. And by extension, you know that all these things, you need approval from what? The lawmaking body. Has it been followed and all that? You see, public office holders, you operate on a certain principle of impartiality and, those things, which is captured in Latin expression, sine ira estudio, without passion, without hatred, without affection. You do according to the rules of the game. Once you go against it, I'm afraid you need to be brought to book. Otherwise, you create you open the floodgates for others to follow. You embolden them and all that. These are serious issues that we need to really reflect on soberly. And I'm happy that Honorable, from where he sat, he has suggested something beautiful, the National Medical Fund. It is important. Look at a lot of things we waste resources on. Is it not possible that they can, charge Ghanaians, 1 cedi or something that will all contribute to such a good cause, isn't it? You don't know where you'll be a patient to that place. So we need to be up and doing, be proactive, and then look at this issue and deal with it head on. This is not to say that we hate anybody or we are against anybody. We want systems to work. Once systems are solid, institutions are solid, you don't need a strong man. You don't need a strong man. The system will work.
Thank you. And Dennis, let me, because of time. There's clear experience, which you were making reference to, people that you know, and the failures in the system that is also exacerbating an already costly system in itself. What should be the remedies?
Alfred, health and its related issues are ones that we shouldn't play with. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I watched a cousin of mine buried in one of our villages around the Adesu area, Ukrase, for kidney issues. Wow. And I remember in her, dying days, if I didn't even know about it, until one of these days I saw a flyer raising funds on a WhatsApp platform. So when I opened, I said, is that her? Then I had to call and find out. Then they said, oh yeah, she's not been well. So I sent her a message, and then she responded. So, Brother Dennis, yes, every week I need amount of money. I forgotten 350 or 400 cedis to go and run dialysis. And she showed me images of, And so I started supporting her. And I remember one of the days she told me how she had gone to Kolebu, and they couldn't attend to her because of the numbers there or something. And so she had to come back, and they said the blood gets toxic at some point, so they have to run it out. And now they said they have to remove it from where it is and put it by her neck, but she needs to pay some additional money. And because I'd been supporting her, she couldn't get back to me until I reached out and said, oh, I needed an extra 2,000 or so to go and remove the thing and put it somewhere. And then one of these days I was there, I just got a message that she was dead. I got to hear about her sickness 3 or 4 weeks, and then started supporting, then she died. Now, the question is that, like Honorable Dafemokwe said, why don't we have a system to support these? Why did we create an exception for them from the National Health Insurance? Because really, what's the point if you pay for my malaria? That is cheaper. And then you don't pay for this exceptional... you give me malaria, you give me typhoid treatment. Comparatively, those are not expensive. I genuinely think that if the National Health Insurance, as we've created it, doesn't have enough resources to be able to handle this, then maybe we should flip. Okay. Maybe we should allow ourselves to pay. Maybe we should pay for our malaria and our typhoid and our jaundices and really take care of those ones. Because, Alfred, see, the number of Ghanaians who are dying as a result of these kidney and cancer issues, you have no idea. In fact, some of them don't even go to the hospital on time. They don't even know. Even the diagnosis for this in this country seems to delay. They can treat you for years for some jaundice, typhoid, only for you to finally end up in one. They say, oh, the thing is advanced. Yes. Why didn't we know? Is it that we didn't have these machines? If we don't have them, should we create a system where we can really afford these things? How many of these dialysis machines do we have? Why is it always Kolebu? Why can't the Tamale people have a dialysis machine? Or even Zona? Yes. Zona, maybe in a region there are probably 3 or 4. As for these health issues, it is not fun for politics. Indeed. Because as we sit here, only God knows what's going on in our bodies. Yeah. So as for this, it is not an issue for politics at all. The Kolebu CEO if he's not willing to resign, should simply let us know that, well, and you see, one of the reasons why I'm hastening to directly accuse him, of course, he's ultimately the man in charge, but we run an organization. I may be in charge, but maybe within my organization, I've also made Honorable Dafema responsible for handling that aspect. It will be his job to deal with it and let us know that I have dealt with the matter and it would not happen again. Yeah. That's for me, because I don't want to hastily, I mean, we run organizations, things happen. Okay, in the same system, I may also delegate somebody responsible. That's why it's your job. Because, first of all, they should give all the people who paid that money back to them. They should call them and reverse their money. And even compensate them some customer service recovery, give them some 2 or 3 free dialysis. Yeah. Because it is an illegal charge. It's money that you're not supposed to take from the people. And sometimes the way they even treat the people, we in our daily lives, we even do things on credit. But in this country, you can't do health on credit. I can go and buy furniture on credit. I do this on credit. But when it gets to health, they say, oh, you have to bring the money before we change your blood that is getting poisoned. And so even the hospitals cannot even do that for me. People are dying from prostate cancer. People have cancer and they are keeping it because they can't afford. So honestly, Alfred, this conversation is one that we shouldn't let to slide. We should finish it. Parliament has a huge role to play in this. They set the National Health Insurance Act. They can quickly deal with it, revise it, and make sure that wherever we need to find the money, we should find it. Because after some of the sicknesses...
No, taxes are already going there.
Yeah, but sometimes if you look at the quantum...
You can just up it a bit.
Yeah, because you know when they come for support, Ghanaian support. So if we have to all increase some part of it and contribute, so be it. Because you see, there are some diseases that you can't just afford.
No.
It doesn't matter how rich you are. There are some diseases that you can't just afford, Alfred. Some people on this dialysis are here forever. But they can live a normal life if they are doing it regularly. So it doesn't matter how rich you are, you'd realize that your money would dissipate eventually if you have to foot it all by yourself. Kolebu should do us some good. They should deal with this matter. See you, if it is your fault, this one you have to take the fall. If within your organization you have structures and systems where you are relying on somebody, let us know that you are taking action against the person. Then you can keep your job.
Thank you, Dennis Miracles Abuaje. Now, I need to go for 30 seconds. Small point.
Yes. You know, in 2015, we had the Ghana Health Financing Strategy. Okay. I don't know what's happening to it. It's one of the key way of financing some of these things.
Ghana Health Financing Strategy.
Yes, 2015. Okay. I think we should be able to go back to that and look at it.
I think it's something that we'll take a look at as well subsequently. Thank you. And we'll go for this quick break. When we're back, we'll get into a lot more of the issues here on Key Point. Dr. Mauli says we must consider the issues they are raising as reasons why the cost is high. Removal of tax exemptions, high import duties, and then other matters arising as well should be addressed. Thank you. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
Sport of the week. Place bets and hit the jackpot. Log into the OneXBet account. Click on the Take Part button, place bet, and take part in the jackpot draw. Give your luck a chance. Use promo code to get a bonus on your first deposit.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be addictive.
Melcom, your one-stop store, presents the Made in Ghana Festival promo with over thousands of Ghanaian products on exhibition ranging from food, clothes, beverages, stationery, bedding, cosmetics, and many more. Come to any Melcom store and taste the experience of Ghanaian products. The Melcom Made in Ghana Festival promo runs from the 8th of September to the 1st of October 2023. Terms and conditions apply. Melcom, where Ghana shops.
Swiss cupcakes. Simply irresistible. Try one today.
This advert is FDA approved.
You feel adrift as you transition into a new stage of your life. The future seems like a blank space until you discover the passion within. The canvas of the future is yours to paint. Welcome to a world of opportunities. Heritage Christian College, offering world-class university education, training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Welcome back to Key Point here on TV3. We're also live on 3FM 92.7, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. The Electoral Commission is actually accusing political parties of trying to register minors and to their advantage and to the disadvantage of the system itself. Dennis, have you as a party tried doing that? Registering minors and foreigners? The Electoral Commission is accusing the political parties.
Yeah, I mean, there's been videos and reports. I think the Shayo Sudoku NDC organizer was arrested for attempting to register minors. Busa South NDC executives, you've seen that video where the kids were lined up by the Busa South NDC executives trying to register the minors. And I am very sure these things are happening across the country. For me, I think that's one of the reasons why we should begin to do away with the guarantor system. You know, one of the things we do in this country is when we try to fix challenges, Alfred, and we have the bigger picture, we use the smaller issues, concentrate on them, and then we ignore dealing with the bigger picture. The biggest problem now is that we need to conclude on our national identification project so that we don't have to go through all these guarantor system. But when we are making the case, we make it look as if using a national ID card is a problem. But it is not a problem. The problem is that genuinely a lot more people who need a national identification card to be able to register don't have it. So I think that's where we should concentrate on and really hammer down so that people would have access to the card and be able to register. Because I saw the video from Busa South and it's sad. Somebody comes and the person says, well, that is my child. I say he is 11, he's 18, but the child looks like 11. And then he tell you, you didn't give birth to the child for me. And me, when I was 18, I probably looked like a 10-year-old. So if you don't take care, you may mistake me, like the way I'm sure Mr. Martin probably mistake me to be a 21-year-old. But I'm not a 21. Because a short man is not
Martin is sufficient.
You know the way they say it, a short man is not a small boy. Yeah, a short man is not a small boy. You know, so it's difficult for you to use the physique of people to really determine their age. But it is happening. And the reason why we are having minors, people are attempting to register minors, is because we are using the crude, old school guarantor system. I sincerely think the conversation should be doing away with the guarantor system.
And it's so because
it has no place in our,
they don't have the Ghana card.
So let's deal with it.
Has to be
so let's
addressed.
talk about that and deal with that.
So,
but we shouldn't.
So, government, you make funds available to the NIA.
That is where the conversation should go. You understand? Okay. That's where the conversation should go. But we shouldn't make a forceful case for, oh, that's how we've been doing guarantor system, is how we've been doing it. And no.
Should this process be extended? Because it's ending in 2 days.
And
there are more eligible voters who have not been registered.
I am quite convinced that it will be extended. Because, I mean, in my constituency, I get there and there's still a long queue.
Right.
There's still a long queue. When you go to Okropon, the district office now, there's still a long queue of people who need to register. And I really think that they need to extend it for the people to be able to register.
Thank you. Well, Martin Pebo, on this, this quickly.
I support the call for extension of the registration. And also, it's not yet too late for the EC to expand to the electoral areas. That topic, we've not forgotten it all. EC is saying they will do it next year. I don't think next year is good enough understand they targeted registration of 52% of the eligible voters. 52. I think when you did the introduction, you brought it up. How can a public institution say that there are 100% people, over 2 million, right?
Or 1,350,000.
Meanwhile, Statistical Service has it at over 2 million. You see, even that disparity is 1 prime. But let's go with the EC's 1.2 million. How do you come out and say, out of the 1.2, I want to register only 52%? No, it's not on. I mean, come on. So it's not yet late. The EC should look at it. If we need to go back to Parliament and ask for more money, let's do it. Development partners will ask. And then would help so that we can push for the district assembly elections. Let's push it for a change the date. Let's do it properly. Don't register only 52%. And I support the extension. But on the matter of the guarantor system, for as long as NIA also uses a guarantor system, for me, I'm struggling to see where we are going with saying that we should never use a guarantor system for registration for the EC purposes. Okay. I think what we should do is look at ways of just making sure that there's integrity, that people don't come and misrepresent other people's ages and all that. How would using an NIA card stop misrepresentation of the age? Right. Are we saying that for the NIA system, people cannot misrepresent their ages? Okay. It's quite a difficult thing.
It's a very, very important conversation that has to be had. Dr. Sasante.
Voter registration is a critical indices for free and fair election. Without it, the whole process will crumble. That's all. So you need it because you need the list of voters to be able to know, to help you to plan, and even the election management body, the Electoral Commission. So the voters' role is very, very critical. But in course of doing that, you want to make sure that you protect the sanctity of the register by getting in people who are supposed to be qualified by law to be in there. And this is where I always have problems with the political parties, and then the Ghanaian society in general. We know that the rules do not permit us to do certain things. We go, and then how on earth would you go to the place to register a child who is a minor? All right, somebody who is a minor. It's not the best. So the conversation should go on with that socialization concept. Okay. We inculcate in people that, look, there's no point. Because if you do, in this age of technology, and the child's name is captured in there, and then they prevent the child from doing certain things, it creates a problem. Indeed. All right. And I believe that we can do this and do it well when we perfect the national card system. Okay. So that we deal with all these problems. That at the day that somebody is born, the process kickstarts. All right. His name is registered. You don't wait till 18. Okay. Denmark and other jurisdictions, that's what they have. It's happening. So the best system, all right, once you record it and then that you don't need that we are going to elections to come and register. No. Okay. Yeah.
Honorable Dafem, I'll give the last 2 minutes to you because this is a conversation that's continuous.
You're giving them 10 minutes. You want to
No, I know that's just
now, here's my take on the EC's position. I think the EC, some of the current EC commissioners, I have a problem with the way they communicate. Look, they haven't given us the data undermining the guarantor system. Because you see, if you insist that you want to outlaw the guarantor system, that's the job for Parliament. So come and convince or persuade Parliament that the guarantor system is fraught with A, B, C, D mistakes. Because the guarantor system is also deployed under another enactment of Parliament for another national agency to gather names of citizens, which is the National Identification Authority. So you want to reject your guarantor system, but you want to rely on the guarantor system employed by the National Identification Authority to issue its ID cards. So what exactly are you saying? Indeed, if we had listened to the Electoral Commission to outlaw the guarantor system, 70% of the people registering now couldn't have registered. Because the guarantor system is responsible for 70% of the names that have been captured onto the register so far. under day 18 or 19, 70% of the people who have been captured so far came under the guarantor system. So it is rather the guarantor system that is making their work more effective, especially when you are refused to send the registration process closer to the people. In some constituencies, including mine, first they have to ride on the Volta Lake, cross rivers, take a vehicle to the district capital. So if you do this, and parents are even hesitant in releasing their children to you to take to the district capital and bring back safely because of the hazards of travel.
Right.
So they should listen to us, because the law as it is in place is what the EC is supposed to work with.
So
they don't regulate themselves. We regulate them.
The call that Dennis and others are making, that it should be extended.
Yes, it should be extended, and it should be brought closer to the people at the gazetted polling stations.
Thank you.
The money they came for in Parliament, 56 million, is not the work that they are doing.
Well, Roxanne Dafiamepo is member of Parliament
You don't
for
come
the
for
South
money
Bank constituency
to register a polling station. When you get the money,
point
then you restrict
in
the
the panelists,
registration.
if you also have counter arguments and reactions, you can and forcefully do so. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, thank you very much for coming, and Martin Kpebu, appreciate your time. Dennis Miracle Sabuaje, I thank you for coming. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for staying with us. And on behalf of the rest of the team, Atukwamina Hazel, Koko Shandov, Mavis Asari, and Danny, and all the cameramen and technicians on duty, we appreciate your company. I am Alfred Okanse. Have a great weekend.